Welcome to the 1,573rd meeting of the General Student Senate, the 26th meeting of the 45th session, which I now call to order. This meeting is being broadcast via Zoom and the recording will be publicly available on YouTube. Next, I will read the list. The University of Maine recognizes that it is located on North Island in the homeland of the Penobscot Nation, where issues of water and territorial rights and encroachment upon sacred sites are ongoing. Penobscot homeland is connected to the other Wabanaki tribal nations, the Passamaquoddy, Maliseet, and Mi'kmaq, through kinship, alliances, and diplomacy. The university also recognizes that the Penobscot Nation and the other Wabanaki tribal nations are distinct, sovereign, legal, and political entities with their own powers of self-governance and self-determination. The clerk will now call the roll.
Cynthia Shelmerdine. Here. Ezekiel Delore.
Here.
Nate Begg.
Here.
Jordan Thompson. Hayden Guzzle.
Here.
Aggie Johnson. Here. Casper Cowan. Here. Joshua Baum.
Here.
Juliana Jolin. Here. Isabella Lemon Ridge.
Excellent.
Kayla Kearns. Matthew Weber. Laura Lynn. Here. Pastor Harvey.
Excuse.
Marcus McLean.
Here.
Bo Mishu.
Here.
Meredith Waters. Here. Darren Martone.
Here.
Kyle Ricker. Zachary Kellogg.
Here.
Ethan Craddy.
Here.
Hazel Sparks. Here. Ellen Bella.
Here.
Taylor Stafford. Here. Keegan Tripp.
Here.
Memphis Peterson.
Here.
Oliver Bois.
Excuse.
Dylan Lehman.
Here.
Neil Rocky.
Here.
Elizabeth Oldfield. Here. Abby Downer. Here. Zoe Stankovich. Here. Olivia Brittany.
Excuse.
Riley Mills.
Here.
Dylan DeMarchant.
Here.
Amanda Levesque. Here. Jonathan Harper.
Here.
Lauren Depot. Here. Zachary Wentworth.
Excuse.
John Guzman.
Here.
Cass Balea.
Here.
Tyler Dunnerbayev.
Excuse.
Jenny Tanaka.
Here.
And Lori Sudoka.
Proxy. I'm now looking for approval of the 12/3/2024 minutes and with agenda. Senator Waters.
I'm motion to approve the 12/03/2024 minutes in this agenda.
Second. Hearing a second, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion on? Any debate on? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that. Next, we'll skip Robert's Rules of the week. General good and welfare. Any non-member may address the General Student Senate for not more than 5 minutes. Seeing none, seeing nothing for new senators, officer appointments, or resignations, we will move into club maintenance, starting with the Run Club here for preliminary recognition. Go ahead and step up to the podium. And if you just introduce yourselves and your organization.
Hello, my name is Noah Bouchard. I'm the president of this Run Club, and
I'm Brody Lake, I'm the vice president. Go ahead and if you could tell us about your club, your mission, when
yeah,
you meet, how many members you have.
our mission is just like to just get people together and just run together. Like we meet every day at like 5 p.m. So in the dark. And we just like go out off campus, run campus, we just go out and run. Like we try to have one like every day of the week, but obviously sometimes that's not like the case, like tomorrow it's gonna rain, so. But like, yeah, we just try and get out, get active, and like just get support for just running and all that.
We currently have about 16 members, but showing up isn't regular, so some days there'll be 2 people, some days there'll be 3 people. Going by the day, we'll have completely different people, and yeah, but.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Senator Ricker?
Is your focus on like long distance running or like short distance sprinting? Or?
Just a mix of like what people want to do, like usually like we go like 5 miles a day usually. But if people want to go less or more, it's just up to debate, honestly.
Thank you. Senator Bowman?
How many people would you say that you have like running with you over the course of a week?
I mean, it's like 2 to 3 people a day usually, but it's like a max, like, it's from a selection of like 6 or 7 probably. But that is like before, it's like we have not done much advertising yet, like outside of like the Snapchat story. So like, once we get like, I don't know, like 5 or something, like I guess we'll have a lot more like members like trying to cover this, like these runs.
Thank you. Commissioner Stankovich?
What running based activities or like other activities do you plan to do in this club?
Right now, because there's not much like competition from like other colleges, so we can't really do like intramural, like conventional track and field. But like right now, we're trying to like garner support for like just like road running races, like the Millinocket half marathon. And like just 5K just around the area and all that, but like nothing like conventional for like track and field or cross country yet.
Thank you. Any other questions for the speakers?
Do you plan on, once you get fully recognized, asking for funding from us?
It depends really on like what we do need, like, so, like, maybe if we get if we like need what do you call them, reflectors. But like, so people could like see us in the dark and like headlamps maybe, but overall. It really just depends.
Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, what's the committee's recommendation?
3-0-0 to pass.
Senator, DeLorme, excuse me.
I'm going to approve the committee's recommendation.
Second. Here in a second, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion on the motion? Any debate on the motion? Vice President Rocky.
For anybody curious if they meet our preliminary membership requirements, we don't actually really define anywhere what it means to be an active member of a club. So if we have a club that meets daily and they have about 3 people coming consistently every day, but it's not the same 3 people and it's like from a pool of maybe 6 to 7 to 8 actually active members, we're not gonna expect them to have every one of those members every single day. So the committee thought that they met our 5-member minimum.
Any more discussion? Any debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. How much you're welcome to stay or leave for the rest of the agenda, totally up to you. Next, I'd like to invite the UMaine Entrepreneurship and Innovation for preliminary recognition. Welcome, John. Yeah, if you want to introduce yourselves, your club, your mission.
Yeah, so we are UMEI, the UMaine Entrepreneurship and Innovation Group. We haven't hosted any meetings yet, but we have a plan for this spring. We met with our advisor and we have a plan each week. So we plan on meeting every Thursday, Foster Center for Innovation in the evenings. We don't have a set specific time, but this is when the Foster Center hosts events and they're planning to get us into events at whenever they have a time slot available for us. So yeah, next spring, we're hoping to recruit in the first week and, you know, work on recruiting like on social media, getting on some newsletters over the winter. And then we're gonna focus on training for entrepreneurship and innovation throughout the whole semester. And then we're gonna work in groups, ultimately towards a pitch of a business, some sort of idea that we'll start working on earlier in the semester and then build up, like I said, eventually to a pitch. And yeah, we're just basically here to foster opportunities for all students at UMaine that are for entrepreneurship and innovation.
Excellent. Are there any questions for the speakers? Representative Guzman?
Yeah, so you're meeting at the Foster Center for Innovation, right? So my question is, is there a partnership between you and the Foster Center? And if there is, what does that entail? Do you get funding from them as well for?
We don't have any funding from them yet. It's just our advisors there. And he also told us that we could utilize that space. There isn't like any official documents or like funding or anything, but we're just utilizing that space and one of the advisors there.
Thank you. Senator Sparks?
Is it just you 5 or is there anybody else who's just not here tonight?
There's a few other members as well, but this is just all the officers.
Senator Bone?
What would your club offer and what can be accessed at the Foster Center?
So this is available to all students and year round, so we hope to host like the same idea of training, group work and pitching each semester. The Foster Center offers opportunities of entrepreneurship and innovation through like business incubation, like if you go there and you meet with someone, or you can go through internships there, but a lot of what I've seen at the Foster Center is tailored towards grad students or upperclassmen. And I feel like this would be a big learning experience opportunity for all undergraduate students as well. And it could potentially, give someone a business plan.
I'd also like to add, the Innovation Center, every time I go there, it's mostly engineering students. And we really want to change that because, engineering students are good at one thing, but business students are good at another. Medical people can also do, add to the conversation. So we just want to make sure that everybody can be involved regardless of major.
Senator Sparks.
Are you planning to direct this into a certain field or kind of leave it open to the?
Yeah, what people are just saying, we really want to make it open. We want to make it open to all majors. So like if you're a music major, for instance, then you can learn how to buy or like own your own music. And like if you're a STEM major, you can create a patent or something like that. And we want to keep open to all majors, like I was saying, and just make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to kind of look into alternative career paths besides like an industry stranded job, and go forward with an entrepreneurship or innovative idea and do something on your own.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the speakers? Senator DeWine.
I know you said there wasn't any, like specific documentation about funding or anything through the Foster Center. Specifically, with regards to this body, do you foresee asking for any funding, in the future to like help with startups or, whatever that may be?
Yeah, we probably aren't looking for that right off the bat. I know we get some big prize money, so we're not looking for like prize money at the end of the pitch. I think it's more just like learning and experience, really. But I mean, potentially if we were to have it hosted at a different area, maybe we need funding for that, but nothing's set in stone right now.
Or maybe like food. Food really helps to get people in the door. That's something that's, people say, hey, this is different food than the dining hall. They show up just because there's food there sometimes. So I think as well.
Thank you. Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, what's the committee's recommendation?
2-0 not to pass.
Senator Martin.
I move to approve the committee recommendation.
Second.
If that's the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion on the motion? Any debate on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. Thank you very much for stopping by. Next, we will invite our guest speaker of the evening, Anthony Mazzola, the student chief for UMSG.
Hello all members of the Senate. We just said my name is Anthony. I'm the current student chief for the University Volunteer Ambulance Corps, which I will be referring to as UVAC. It's my pleasure to be here and talk about UVAC and the hard work that our student leaders do and what they accomplish. A little bit about me. Right now, I'm currently a grad student at the University of Maine, Augusta, pursuing a master's in trauma-informed emergency management. Before that, I completed a bachelor's here at the University of Maine, Porto, in Earth and Climate Science. I've been at UVAC for about 3.5 years, been EMT for about 1.5 years, and I've been an officer at UVAC also for about 1.5 years or 2 years. So senators, I want to start by asking some questions. And the first question I want you to think about, and that is, why are you here? What motivates you to be a member of the Senate? Because I believe whether it's fighting to improve student life on campus or being the person to answer the call for an emergency when someone needs help, at our base, we are quite similar. We are here to serve our community. So by show of hands, I want to ask, how many of you have at least heard of UVAC? Awesome, we're off to a great start. All right. And second question, how many of you think you have a good idea of what we do? A few of you, all right. Well, I'm still gonna speak on regardless. We're gonna start with the objectives. UVAC is the on-campus emergency medical service. We are an advanced life support transporting ambulance service, fully licensed by the Maine Office of Emergency Medical Services. We respond to all 911 calls on campus and assist in responses to Orono, Old Town, and Milford for emergency off campus. We run 24/7 throughout the school year. We have 2 ambulances equipped to the paramedic level and have a utility fly car. With all this, we are fully run by students. And what does it mean to be fully run by students? It means all of our members and employees are students of the University of Maine or local universities, with the exception of one person, our chief of EMS, Aiden Koplowski, who is a paramedic and has to be there and not be a student for legal reasons. But Aiden Koplowski is a previous student chief of service and was in my role just a couple of years ago. So how does UVAC compare to the rest of the country? If we look at other collegiate EMS groups, such as the one in UNH, well, they still unfortunately have no hardware. Student-run EMS services I'll refer to as collegiate squads, and in the world, there are 284 collegiate EMS services. Out of all those, 58 have an ambulance, 24 of them have 2 ambulances, 20 of them have advanced life supports, 10 of them have 2 ambulances that also provide advanced life supports. If we add on AED maintenance, CPR classes, mutual aid coverage, only 4 collegiate squads in the world operates at this capacity, and UVAC is one of them. Currently, UVAC has 61 members, 25 EMTs, and 32 drivers. Last year, 2 of our recent alumni have been hired for full-time positions at local fire departments at Orono and Old Town. Many of our students currently also work at Milford Fire. Honestly, anywhere you look in healthcare in the state of Maine, you can find UVAC alumni. Whether it be a firefighter, dispatcher, nurse, or the CEO for the Lifelight of Maine, we are everywhere. The work we achieve at UVAC is honestly remarkable. For a short list, but not limited to, we are in charge of the maintenance for 63 AEDs on campus, the emergency coverage of the majority of athletic games, teaching CPR classes each week to the public, holding Maine EMS approved trainings each week, hosting 2 Stop the Bleed classes each week, ensuring all of our members are in compliance with local, state, and federal laws. We do our own hiring and onboarding process for members regardless of experience. The students handle all the truck and supplies and vehicle maintenance, as well as outreach for the local community. We do outreach events at local elementary schools and local Boy Scout and Girl Scout groups. And on top of all this, we are full-time students. So I want to briefly talk about my experience, as I feel the experience that I went through at UVAC is very similar to what other members go through. I'm going to talk about how I went from a student with no medical experience other than an expired CPR card to be in the position I am now as a student chief of service. I first joined UVAC in the fall of 2021, and I had no previous medical experience. I was undeclared major, and I was just a student at the org fair, mindlessly walking around when I saw uniforms, this one in particular, and thought, wow, that looks pretty cool. And I decided, you know what, why not? I'll send in an application. And to my complete surprise, I got an interview and was later hired. At the beginning of my UVAC career, I was by no means a leader. I was just a driver without a medical license still. But now my CPR card was not expired. I was just a regular student, and about once or twice a week, I'd pick up a shift and drive the ambulance, because you know what, that is pretty cool. My venture into leadership began with an opportunity to become the lieutenant of relations. UVAC opens applications to its members to become an officer at the end of every year. This is handled a little differently than club officer applications, mainly because we are under auxiliary services, and these positions are student employees of the university, and also because we are fully functioning EMS service. At the end of 2022, I applied for an officer position, and while I had not been initially selected for the role, it eventually opened up, and I was able to become an officer. Becoming an officer at UVAC was unlike any job I've ever had. I loved it. And I never worked somewhere that had felt so rewarding. And thus, after my semester of being a lieutenant, I decided to become the assistant chief of relations. And this is a job that really pushed me to my limit, and I think highlights the work we do at UVAC. The assistant chiefs at UVAC are expected to lead by example and be present as much as possible. It is expected that you fill the schedule and just be overall a good role model for the upcoming members. For September of last year, I worked an average of 70 to 80 hours on the ambulance per week, which eventually waned down to a relaxing 50 to 60 hours by December. On top of this, I was a full-time student here, trying to finish out my senior year with my bachelor's, and had my responsibilities as an officer, which was running the social media, coordinating UVAC's presence at UMaine events, coordinating outreach, and managing the other 3 officers in my department, which resulted in about 24 hours a week in administrative work. And this may sound like a lot, but I am not done yet. I was also teaching and training our EMTs to run emergency calls on their own, teaching our members who had taken the emergency vehicles operators course to become our drivers, and was working on becoming a CPR instructor. My experience as an officer and leader at UVEC echoes the experience of all of our other officers, of which there are 13. If we look at the bottom line, UVAC fills an important gap in emergency coverage for our community and do so without compensation. Everyone I know works tirelessly to help our community, all while pursuing a degree. The things we do often outpace what people think we are capable of. We take people with no experience and raise them to be competent medical providers. With that, I'm going to end my spiel about UVAC, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have about our service. Thank you.
Are there any questions for our guest speaker, Representative Levesque?
Just out of curiosity, what is like, obviously as like the student chief, you obviously see a lot of the different calls and stuff that go through and everything. What is like the variability between on-campus calls, like dorm calls versus like outside? Like how often do those things happen?
Outside of something off campus?
Yeah.
It really depends on the year. I've been here at UVAC for about 3 years, and it depends on a lot of factors. I'd say right now, we go off campus about once a month. Most of the time, we don't even make it to the call. The way it works is that Arno has 2 ambulances, Old Town has 2 ambulances, right? And for us to go off campus, all of those need to be busy with something, and then they will call us. So most of the time what happens is they will call us, we'll respond, and if they are finished with what they're doing, they'll just tell us to go back and we'll cover it themselves. Also, any fire. So if there's a building that is on fire in Old Town, Milford, or Orono, they are going to immediately call us to assist with those operations. So this year there haven't been many fires, but 2 years ago when I worked, I went off campus to a structure fire about like once a week, especially when the middle was still there. That got on fire like once a week. So.
Hey, any other questions for our guest speaker, President Tripp?
Thinking back to the summer when we first talked about you coming to student government, and I'm excited to see you here finally. I'm curious in what you think, obviously being not exactly a student org, it kind of creates a different relationship between ourselves and you guys. But I'm curious on how you see our body supporting yours, even if it's just getting the word out there, because I do think that not enough students on this campus know about UVAC. So yeah.
Yeah, I think what you said is pretty spot on, and that is just kind of like getting the word out there. I feel like one of our major goals and one of our struggles is just kind of awareness. A lot of people don't realize that we're students or that we, basically everything of what I just told you, I think is just not in the mind. Or even that just like they can utilize us as a resource, that we're always available, things like that. So, and that does come from kind of being a little separate. Just because we are an EMS service, a lot of what we get caught up in is sort of changing protocols and training people, and we kind of forget to so we have a lot of outreach initiatives, but those can get pushed back sometimes. And sometimes it is a barrier to patient care sometimes because people think we are cops. There is a photo of me on the Maine men's ice hockey Twitter, and the alt text says a security guard poses with Bananas the bear. Which is funny, but it's concerning because I'm not a security guard, obviously. I'm a medical person there at the game, there to help you if you get hit by a puck, whatever medical issues happen. And if you think I'm a security guard, you're not gonna ask me for help. So that's definitely troubling area.
Thank you. Senator Waters?
Do you have to put winter tires on the ambulance or do you have the same tires all year round?
We change out the tires, have other tires. Especially for the icy roads.
Any other question for our guest speaker, Senator Markell?
Do you respond to all the burnt popcorn?
Oh yeah. Any fire alarm, we will show up.
Senator Fang?
Have the Hancock calls this semester been people calling them in or the alarm being pulled? Or one of the things being set off?
I can't tell you that.
Okay.
I'm not legally allowed to say. The fire department, excuse me.
Representative Conversion.
Yeah, so just going back to what you had said, say for concerns, just like confusion over what UMAC is and not is concerning, you know, like being police officer security. Also for citing just for like personal experiences, for people who, you know, had that same confusion. What would you like for student government to do to like sort of assist in like quelling that sort of confusion and like being able to show that UBAC is not going to rat people out when they call for help for an alcohol poisoning, for example?
Yeah. It's definitely something I'd like to explore more, and a lot of I don't fully understand like the capabilities of the students in it just yet, and that's sort of something I'm learning as I continue my role. Yeah, it depends on sort of what you guys sort of are capable of pushing out to the student body. I think, you know, maybe, you know, some kind of initiative where we educate people, because I mean, there are things, you know, like one example is just like as medical providers, we are not allowed to tell anybody what is happening with you. Granted, UMPD will respond and they will refer to student conduct. That's not us, you know. Whatever you tell the UMPD officer, like they're gonna tell, you know, the whatever dean or whoever. But once you're in the back of our ambulance, like, you know, we're students, we don't want to write you out. We, you know, half the time we're asking you, have you taken anything? Because we need to know if you're like overdosing or if you mix medications by accident, because that could be very, very troubling. But once you're in the back with us, like, and the UMPD officer is like, what did he take? I'm like, I can't tell you legally. It's, you know, at that point, they're my patient and they're protected by it. So, sort of any sort of tidbits like that. There's a couple of them, but whether it be like a newsletter or something like that.
Thank you. Vice President Whitfield.
I write a newsletter. That's information that would like to be included in it. Please reach out to me. We can connect later.
Thank you. And also, you just happen to be sitting right next to the editor in chief for the new campus. There's another potential. Senator Baum.
What coming into the spring semester is usually the biggest calls that you see, if you're allowed to say that you would like to, you know, advise us to tell the constituency about not doing or avoiding?
What are the common things we see? It's pretty consistent throughout the year. That I'm allowed to say, because this doesn't give away any like specific personal information. We see like a lot of like orthopedic like ankles, like people who sprain their ankles. And that's probably the most common thing we get. A lot of intoxication calls, and then outside of that, literally everything you can probably think of, we end up seeing. But especially when it's still cold, definitely take people who are slipping and falling and getting injured that way. So, you know, I guess more salt on the roads. Even our providers, like, this is an embarrassing story, but like, fall last year in the spring semester, I like got out of the truck and just walked. So I didn't tell myself. So we have to be vigilant, right? So.
Thank you. President Tripp.
I was just speaking to our director of communications. We'll be in touch about, we've been doing video interviews and kind of like club spotlights and things, and I think that'd be another good way to bridge that gap. So obviously, let's wait until next semester, just with everything wrapping up right now. It'd be kind of chaotic, but I'll be in touch.
Awesome. Okay.
Any other questions for our guest speaker, Representative Lebeck?
Do you, well, this might not be exactly in the back sphere, do you do anything with like harm reduction or Narcan training or anything like that? Or is that something that you guys want to do in the future?
Harm reduction, what else?
Like Narcan training or overdosing?
Gotcha. We try to do things like that. We haven't done Narcan training specifically. You know, the sort of community initiative we're part of with that is Maine EMS's push to sort of reduce opioid overdoses. They want us all to carry a kit of Narcan that we leave behind at every opioid overdose. We have not had one on campus, you know, knock on wood, at least in the past year or two, or anything that I've seen. So we are looking to sort of do sort of like more community outreach and awareness of like contraindications for medications. I think a lot of people don't realize that some of the medications they take when mixed with alcohol sort of amplifies the effects and can lead to very not so great situations. I know in the past we've done other initiatives. Right now, I think we're working on teaching CPR to all the fraternities and sorority groups on campus. I know one of our officers is hoping to get like the RA CPR certified if they can, things like that. There are a lot of ideas, but just a lot of them don't make it.
Senator Ricker?
If you want to answer this, feel free to cut me off, but what's the best way students can get involved with UVac?
Yeah, so the best way to get involved is just to apply, and we open up applications at the end of every semester. And then so for example, at the end of this week, I believe we're opening our applications for spring. And then come first or second week of spring, we're gonna be hiring our members for the spring semester. The trainings we host every week, we do two trainings a week. Those are open to the public. And so if you kind of get in contact with us or find our email, we can keep the invite to those trainings and you can get to know some of the UVac members and I'll kind of get you a foot in the door when you apply later on.
Thank you. Any other questions for our guest speaker? Seeing none, I'd like to thank you again for making the time. And you're welcome to stay or go, totally up to you. Next, we will move into executive reports. Questions are open to non-members, and we will start with the president of UMSG.
Alrighty, happy final meeting of the year, guys. And also final meeting for VPSO Rocky, wanted to point out. Thanks again for participating in the executive evals last week. I think they were some of them are very nice and constructive. So I look forward to using them to improve my leadership going into next year, as well as applying some of the ideas I got in there on how we can kind of move forward. I also want to wish you all a lovely break and point out that even though obviously student government kind of shuts down at the end of this week, if any of you need anything over break, I'm absolutely available. I may be take a little bit longer to reach, but I'd be happy to set up a meeting and chat about anything you guys want. Going into old business, I'll be continuing my work with the commencement committee over break. I don't think there'll be too much, but it'll be occasional meetings to talk about planning logistics on that. I will also be serving on the Distinguished Maine Professor Award Committee, which I'm personally super excited about, which is a big award that UMaine gives out each year. It's a big honorary award that they give out at commencement. And I was given the materials for the final nominees, so that's exciting. A few rep boards are applying for storage, if I'm understanding correctly, and I will be attending SOC tomorrow to help facilitate that, as well as kind of orient our brand new VPSO into that process, so that's exciting. And for new business, I will have the SAF report finalized for distribution across campus by the end of next week. Finals are kicking my butt. So it'll take a little bit longer than I thought, but the response has been overwhelmingly positive, and I think that our conversation that we started a few weeks ago was really positive and moving forward progress. So I'm excited for that. I'll also be working with Senator Thompson over break after our super helpful meeting with Associate Provost Scott Marzilli about the syllabus bank. We'll be putting together a syllabus bank report. This will look a lot like the SAF report. It'll be a lot shorter, hopefully, but it'll also be the thing that we send to Faculty Senate when it's time to present. This will have all the facts. We have a survey that was given out last year by a former VPSL chaplain that Scott has already put together and went through to kind of summarize. So hopefully that was super helpful and we're grateful for that. But that'll be something that we can look at together and hopefully get some good forward progress on next semester. I see it moving really quickly. Another thing that we talked about was originally housing it in student government and in the academic affairs committee. We think that that is, while a fun idea, super overwhelming for the Senate. Scott told us already that he would be willing of having conversations and housing it in the provost's office, which I think makes a lot more sense for a home for that. Next, myself and DOC Downer started and put together or started recording a little video today with bananas, which I'm excited to kind of share about. I think that DOC Abby will talk about it a little bit more, but it was super fun. We got to talk about Bananas, what Bananas does on campus, the group behind it, Alpha Delta, how they support the spirit on campus, as well as ways that student government can help support them in their efforts. I'm also continuing my work on the SRE task force and questions. That was the link that I sent to the chat. Myself and my task force committee that we put together had a meeting with the Vice President Sparks, and it was supposed to be Provost John Ballin, who couldn't make it that day, but those are the chairs of the SRE. The way we came kind of to this conclusion is that there's a lot of misinformation, rightfully so, because there hasn't been a lot of communication about exactly what the SRE looks like. So we would like to get a little bit of a myths and fact sheet so that we can kind of put away these larger rumors like programs being immediately cut or people not being able to graduate in their current degree progress. These things kind of need to go away and they're getting in the way of the actual constructive conversations that need to happen. So please throw your stuff in there. No question is a bad question. I'll be sending all the information over without your names attached to the administration so they can start building out those fact sheets. Finally, the editor-in-chief of the Maine campus is here to take our group picture for our final meetings this semester, I suppose. And this is something that we do every year, so it'll be good and it'll be up. Yep, we'll basically do it at the podium like we did last time with DOC Abby's photo. And this is a good thing because it did cut off the wings of people. So hopefully we can get everybody in this photo. And that'll be the end of our report.
Excellent. As for my report, I now have a key to open up the Senate committee chambers that are in the office right next to our attorney, Sean Amara. Those are meant for obviously committee meetings, or if you just need like a quiet, mostly empty space, feel free to just come find me and I can open that up for you starting next semester. I went to Polypro yesterday morning with my standing rules resolutions, the first one reformatting it, the second one with actual substantial amendments that I'm excited to discuss a little bit later. I would also like everybody in here to join me in a discussion regarding, I don't want to spoil it too much, but regarding the banquet room. My God, I'm so sorry. I lost my thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
The other thing is, I'm very proud of this group and I'm super grateful that you all participated in executive evaluations as professionally and as constructively as you did. I was able to kind of sit down and reflect on them and I've taken a lot of that to heart, super constructive, and I look forward to starting the next session with all of your advice. And that will conclude my report. Next is the VP of Financial Affairs, which I have that report somewhere. Hey y'all, sorry for not being able to attend today. Aside from the normal EBC procedures, there are only a couple things to announce. Over the next week and winter break, while the UMSG alumni list will be processed by the foundation, I will begin work on a rough financial model for UMSG, which will hopefully bring some more clarity to our budget change conversations and allow the Senate to try out some different financial scenarios. I know this year has shown an overwhelming theme of financial responsibility and financial change. I understand that our finances can be confusing. If anyone feels underinformed or would like to know more about them in general, please feel free to send me an email or schedule a meeting as I will happily answer any questions. I especially encourage this for anyone who is new to the Senate and has interest in EBC for the spring. I will be available over the break via Zoom and of course during office hours once spring semester has started up. Thank you all for your great work. There's something that's supposed to report.
Yeah, it's just starting one idea, but we're usually they've been
Okay, well, that concludes different than last week. Later on the agenda, there's requests from the Panorama Chemical Animal Club and Kappa Kappa Psi. That concludes the BFFA reports. Now for student organizations.
Hey guys, we heard from 3 clubs at SOC this week. 2 of those, obviously, you just heard from, were accepted for preliminary recognition. One of them, men's club basketball, was tabled for final recognition as they do not meet our membership requirements and our regular meeting requirements. I was also at Polypro yesterday. You'll be hearing from me later regarding a resolution to amend the emergency recognition policies. Thank you as well for all the feedback on the exec reports. Unlike my colleagues, I will not be taking it and applying it to anything that will be gone. but I appreciate it nonetheless. You guys, it's my last meeting here, so I really appreciate you all. Thank you in particular to the representative boards and those representatives for the really effective stewardship of their organizations. It was great. I only had to receive one email from anybody, any one of them asking for help all semester. So I think that really speaks volumes about their independence and their competence. So thank you again and report.
Thank you. I'm just gonna finish the VPFA report. Starting projected unallocated is $59,803.23. As for the return to unallocated, BSU returned $1,790. Sophomore Owls returned $270.19. And tennis pay to play returned $1,250. End of report. Next, student entertainment.
Hello, everyone. I dropped in the chat the info about movie tickets, and if you saw that, you would see that last week, 479 student tickets were used. So that's why, fun fact about that beats our last record from last year by 150 plus. So, yeah, so that is why I'm going to be reporting tonight that the decision with the movie tickets decided by me, and with the help of other people, but me, is that for over winter break, we're going to be announcing that there's 2,000 tickets left, because there's hopefully going to be 2,000 tickets left when we start next semester. And then we're just going to run out when we run out. When that happens, Black Bear Cinemas will be giving away $5 tickets for students. But my part in this is that I'm going to be meeting with them regularly to figure out solutions, and having the important discussions, and especially the main discussion of like guaranteeing that these tickets are going to undergraduate students. So if you want to be a part of those talks, SEC next semester. Additionally, I decided, along with other people, that we're going to be removing food trucks from our budget. We felt that it was just not a good use of our money. We used, 1,000 food units last year, and with rising costs, that number could change drastically, and we just feel like it doesn't serve the larger student population the way it could. And we decided to use that money as a backup in a way, and just like our own buffer zone in case any unexpected expenses come up. But that all ties into one of my other goals is that I really want to next semester work with President Tripp on talking about the student activity fee and why I think it would benefit student entertainment. So that's going to be another big path in the student entertainment division. And then lastly, I want to say a big thank you to all the SEC senators. You guys are incredible. You make ABPSC Paul and I very happy for all the work you contribute, and you guys are great. End of report.
Thank you. Student leadership.
Hello, everyone. I'm due on the next weekend. I wanted to let everyone know that we will be using Google Forms for the next Senate retreat. So if you were there and enjoyed it last week, hopefully you make an effort to make it to our next one next semester. So I'll send that out probably a little closer to when we get there, because everyone's kind of on break and you don't want to do a Senate then. And then whichever activity fits in our budget and has the most votes from senators is the one we'll go with, just like this time. SLC and I are working on a few different development activities for the professional piece of the event. And if there's something specific you would like to see there, let me know. VPSO Rocky and I met with Colleen and Camden at CSI to discuss some re-envisionment for the Dirigo Leadership Program that used to be offered. And so VPSO Levesque will be looped in next semester, and we'll continue work on that project to create some programs for club leadership. And we will also be collaborating on building a questionnaire before creating the programs, just to make sure it fits a scope of what the club leaders are looking for help and guidance. If you have any ideas on important pieces of leadership roles that you would like to see programs for, please let me know. We had a really good discussion in SLC tonight about that, and so we have a lot of ideas. but I'm always open to even more if anyone has any of them. And next semester, I'd like to do a check-in with everyone and offer any guidance you might need from your first semester here, particularly if you're a new senator, as well as make sure that you have an idea of how you would like to fulfill your Senate requirements coming into the semester, so we can hit the ground running for the new session. And we're going to be working on a Senator Passion project starting next semester. It will be Senator Lamadra's project, but she's not here today, but I wanted to give her that little shout out for giving us that idea in SLC. If you'd like to work on the project, let me know. That's all for now.
Thank you. Advice to the student government.
Yeah, just a couple quick updates. Center for Student Involvement and Student Wellness is hosting some pre-finals week de-stressing events. Those are gonna be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. down in the den on 151. A quick reminder for anybody that lives on campus, if you don't live in a continuous housing hall, the residence halls do close the Friday of finals week at 7 p.m. If you need to move into a hall that is continuous for break housing, please go see the residence life office before that happens. Outside of that, Dr. Dana's retirement is on Thursday. If anybody wants to come, you're able to down in Wells, but I also encourage you, if you haven't gone by and said thank you to him, he'll be in the office all week this week and next week. And I know that he's kind of doing his little farewell tour, can't talk today. I know he came last week to Student Gov and was really excited to partake in that. And like I said, it would just mean a lot. He likes to be involved with students. So if you get the chance, go say hi. End of report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Senator Fang?
Question for VPSC Lehman. When you said, also correct me if I misunderstood you, when you said that you'll be in communication with Blackbird Cinemas, about making sure tickets go to undergrads, are you referring to that leftover 2,000 or the $5 tickets?
I'm referring to tickets for next year.
Representative Merchant?
Yeah, this is directed to President Tripp. Are we still having that discussion about like the student activity for me raised? Cause I know previous meeting, you had sort of remarked on like trying to like have that discussion each meeting and I didn't see it on the agenda, but yeah, it's not like a hard pressed issue, but I'm more or less just curious if we're still doing that.
We definitely can. I didn't plan on doing one tonight, just where this is kind of the final meeting. I know that this, as VPFA Gua spoke about in his report, that this topic is complicated and kind of, it's a lot to wrap your head around. So I thought that something that would be really helpful, just over break, is for everyone to review that report and kind of start thinking about where you fall on this issue. I think that the most productive meetings likely will take place going into next semester when we start hammering that home. And I think that is something that we'll be doing week by week. But it doesn't make a lot of sense in my mind to really start a huge conversation in the last meeting and then go away for so long. So if we would like to have a little 5-minute, 10-minute conversation, depending on how long this meeting is, absolutely, that would be up to the Senate. And I'm happy to continue that conversation, but we are kind of in the same space in the time frame being end of February that we need to make that decision. The bulk of that, I think, will take place next semester. But yeah, absolutely down if you guys are.
Senator Sparks?
This is also pointing at President Tripp. For the SRE movement, I have a lot of the staff and faculty opinions on that. If you wanted those, teaming up with staff and faculty would help.
So the secretary of the faculty senate is one of the chairs of the SRE and Sabrina Kirk, who came and spoke to us that one time. I've also been in contact with faculty, and I think that that's it's clear that students and faculty have very similar opinions about how this situation was handled. However, I also think that faculty and students are victims of this same kind of echo chamber where misinformation is getting kind of riled up. And I think that our goal is to start squashing that, at least from the student side. I am happy to speak with staff. I've spoken to a few staff who were involved and we had pretty long conversation about their perspectives. And I think I see where they're coming from, but also I need to focus on my constituency. And I think that Amanda Clemmer, who is the president of the Faculty Senate, which of course you know, but for the room, has a plan of attack moving forward with that too, and how we can kind of engage our own groups to better engage with the SRE, which I think has been a struggle. I think there's been a lot of avenues that have been open that haven't been utilized, both by both staff and faculty. But also, no, I think that's pretty much it. But yeah, I'd love to have that conversation if you think there are things that I should know. I can kind of give you an update about what I've heard and talked about, but we'll do that. We can do that after the meeting.
I just have a lot of them written down that I haven't told the Senate because it's faculty opinions,
Yeah.
not our opinions, but
Oh, you have them, like you're gonna tell today?
no. But if you wanted them.
Yeah, send them over.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood your original question.
Excellent. Awesome.
Question for VPSC Lehman. From what I remember, the food trucks on Main Day were because the dining halls had limited hours that day, right?
That was a little bit from my understanding. Who wants to answer that?
Yeah, we're working with Sodexo to work on a barbecue, so if there's good weather, that'll be out in the mall. If the weather isn't working with us, then that will just be food served back in the dining hall.
Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, Senator Baum.
Suspend the rules and limit all reports to 3 minutes.
Okay. Did I hear a second? Second. That's the pledge for the Senate, that it's adopted. Any discussion? Any debate? Seeing none, all those in favor of limiting reports to 3 minutes? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. Any 5 seconds? That being said, we will move into periodic reports, starting with the Faculty Senate Student Representative. 3 minutes per report, but I'll only start once they start talking.
Yeah, so the faculty forum was yesterday for the new academic requirements. I went to the afternoon one and someone went to the morning one here. I was told that you did a great job and Dee was very happy that you went. That's all I have.
Thank you. University of Maine BOT rep, does anybody have that report?
I do. BOT rep Britton says, I'm so sorry and. Oh, it's a half a message to me, half to the Senate. Let the Senate know that I am genuinely sorry to miss tonight and will be attending a meeting with me to get in touch with and will be working on trustee selection policies for the next few weeks. Which was a little confusing. Essentially what that is about is me and BOT Britain, as we talked about, we're working on putting together those policies for the student selection trustee committee. We haven't heard back from the chair of the board. So I believe that she'll be reaching out to kind of follow up on that so that we can get those materials and get that ball rolling. End of report.
Thank you. FDPC chair.
Oh, hi everyone. So lately, I've been getting some ideas about inauguration and other fun things that we can do during the elections to hopefully increase the morale of our candidates and interest from our general student body. Today in FEPC, we made a plan for the I voted sticker contest. It's going to be very similar to VP Oldfield's yearbook cover contest, but this one will be open to the general student body because I want silly responses. So plan on making one if you want. Thank you to my 2 folks who have been attending FEPC this semester, Senator Weber and VP Oldfield. I'm hoping that we have wide turnout next semester. But I hope everyone has a lovely break and to see everyone back next semester.
Thank you. Student legal rep.
Hi, everyone. Tomorrow, December 11th, from 12 to 1 in the low room, Student Legal Services is having their semester lunch about, well, they're talking about landlord tenant law, but if you have any ideas, questions, or other legal topics you want to learn about, please bring them. And Sean also is getting bagels and report.
Thank you. Graduate Student Senate rep.
Really not much. They met at our last meeting last Friday, just, plans about commencements and the only other thing was that the liaison officer, Derek DeMello, has been elected for our end for being a liaison. So he will be transitioning into that role and will be starting to come to meetings next semester. And a report.
Thank you. Orono Town Council.
Okay, as I discussed earlier in the semester, you guys won't remember, but Councilman Demerit spearheaded the Orono Stops campaign, whose main goal was to stop people from running through school buses as well as more strictly enforce speed limits around heavy areas of foot traffic in downtown. So the staff conducted 18 traffic enforcement details from September to November, 126 vehicle stops, 124 traffic warnings, 5 traffic citations, 26 bus route trips were followed, 2 criminal citations were issued, and 3 warnings for passing a school bus stop. One last thing, the council also voted to enter an agreement with Fraser Signal Technology to install a rectangular rapid flashing beacon for the crosswalk on Route 2 and Westwood Avenue. End of report.
Thank you. Old Town City Council.
No report.
Military and Veteran Affairs.
No report.
Director of Communications.
Alright, hello. So as mentioned, today I did an interview for a video on bananas that I'll be working this week on editing. I'm almost done editing a video from our BPFA, which I'll hopefully be posting tomorrow. And then on Thursday, I'm planning to go to the Tango Club's meeting, weather permitting, to take some pictures for them and hopefully post a quick spotlight. I'm also planning to do a semester recap post by the end of the week. Then I also wanted to mention that I did say that I wanted to do a holiday themed fun video, but I think I'm gonna have to decide on that because I have a lot to do in the last few days that are left of the week. And instead, I would love if everyone could just, you know, send me pictures of things they do during break or on their holidays so I can post that next semester. And that way I can still include everyone. And then lastly, I would really like to find some new ways to include the Senate in projects for the Instagram. And if anyone ever has any ideas or things you would like to see more or less of, you can always reach out to me. And
Thank you. Director of Technology.
No report.
University of Maine Security Rep.
no report.
Undergraduate research.
Hello, everyone. Today I met with the representatives on the UMSS Executive Committee. We just discussed generally what UMSG can do and progress on getting the symposium up and running this year. We went over changes to the program, how initially there have been mentions of no keynote speaker. Now that was vetoed and there is going to be a keynote speaker where they're going to be in the UMaine system and a representative that way. I updated them on what I've talked about in my committee. We also talked about registration, how we have 4 registrants for the symposium. There's 9 judges. Sponsorship, they have $15,000 in sponsorships already, some from Northern Light, some from GSG, some from Burson, Hannaford, lots of different sources, and they're still going for fundraising work. Still talking to me about volunteer. I'm gonna send flyer or a post that they put on their social media so that we can share on the story. So I'll send that to you see down there. Also introductions about how ASAP is gonna be there again as they were last year, doing headshots for all the students who were there participating. Hoping to maybe do a POV video this year or just like a walkthrough that they could use in future years of what it looks like. Talk more about the keynote and things about meetings in the future, also about streaming music performances. Last year they weren't able to do that, they were at a separate location, but now they want to be able to stream them because of the event. And that is it, that is report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? President Tripp.
Not a question, but I have a point of information about something I forgot in my report. I also had our first official senior administration meeting, which is the ones that I've been trying to kick back up. And I've been promised that those will continue into next year, so that's super exciting. As well as starting conversations, this was something I got on my executive evals and I fully agree with kicking up the town hall series. I have already sent out an email and we will be locking down dates for all of those senior administrations to have those theme days. And I will be more information as I have it, but get excited for that. That's it.
Any questions for the speakers? Seeing none, we'll move into reports of standing committees, starting with marketing and public relations.
No report.
Membership,
All right, we got some food from Wells Dining, and I hope you guys are still hungry because there's plenty more for recess, so you grab some, and then, also went out of the way and got some sweet treats for us. So also at recess, I'll look at the rest of the burritos. One thing that is not like, it doesn't really pertain to my position, but I don't talk that much, so I kind of wanna, I think it's really important, what Senator Sparks was speaking about was the core general education faculty forum yesterday. There was, I think it was, like you said, it was only me and her that were the students that were there. Someone else, there might have been someone else there as well. Oh, awesome, awesome. Regardless, I think it was so important. The big 5 points that I have come across, if you've read the report, they put in a C- grade as that would be the base level that you have to have for gen ed. That's just a placeholder, so that's not anything that's final, it's not concrete, so that's just what they put in there. It's kind of like the SRE, when they presented it to us, it's all, hey, give us your feedback, we really want feedback, please. Next thing was with the SRE and the change of the university's mission statement, that could change how the core gen ed stuff works as well, so like they said, not everything's set in stone. And then one thing was that people saw there was an increase of 3 credits on as far, it was from 18 to 21 credits per gen ed requirements. That was actually just a switch over. There was an ethics requirement that was in majors, and it just got put into gen eds that everyone had the requirement for. It was put there, so it was always fun. And then just with the timeline was a fall 2026 implementation if everything goes as planned. And then one thing that my biggest question was, how will this affect people coming in? If you have a whole plan for your 4 years here, how's that gonna affect it? Whatever course curriculum guide you come in with is what sticks with you. So that's it.
thank you. Policy and procedure,
Okay, we passed 3 resolutions through Polypro. Get excited, you'll hear them tonight. Almost all execs have received their evaluations. I think they were all open-minded and took them. But you can also go to their office hours and remind them yourselves if you're really strong. You think they did get the message, really stick it to that end of the table and be pissed off. I put something fun in the chat that was highly requested after the exec evals. High is probably mildly requested after the exec evals. And I'm not gonna be Polypro chair next semester, so if you have any interest in learning about being Polypro chair, come talk to me, I'll talk to you a little bit about how it is and what we do. End of report.
thank you. Political activism,
No report.
services,
No report.
academic affairs,
A lot of this is regarding the support, but I met with Dr. Marzilli twice this week. The first was our regularly scheduled meeting where he shared that the office is working on an exit survey that students can fill out on Navigate after academic advising sessions to show which departments have students with negative experiences with their advisors. I'm also looking into specific examples of programs of studies where courses listed have not been taught in years. So if that's your major or minor, please email me. And then I met with President Tripp and Dr. Marzilli about the syllabus bank. The major takeaway from that meeting was advice about the game plan for getting this bank established. Our next step of the plan will be potentially a motion on our side. And then going to faculty senate to get them on board. Dr. Marzilli also took the survey conducted by former BPSL chaplain and made a cheat sheet summary to consolidate all the points, which is tremendously helpful. The project is in a good place right now for next semester. And a report.
thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Representative Merchant?
Yeah, this is directed to Senator Shode. What, I might be wrong in remembering this, but with the speed, I forget the term, but it's speed check bumps, speed bumps. What is there any information on those, or am I getting it wrong about like project, like if that's even a project that you're?
Well, it's something I asked auxiliary services to consider their budget. I do need to check in and ask if it was funded, though I assume it wasn't, because when I asked them, they're like, well, we can, but. You know, the impression was it's not being funded. They're running on a tight budget.
Senator Summerdown, would you like to add to that?
I can also help answer that question. If auxiliary services isn't able to do that, once the annual conference event, which it still has not yet. That's something that, services can push through, through UMSG, because we can put through the budget request for that, but no, nothing is, done yet because the call has not gone out.
Senator Sparks.
Just tagging off, I have all of the like forms of the gen ed changing. I dropped it in the chat a while ago, but if you want it again, I'm not gonna drop it in the chat again because I don't want to crowd it, but just email me. Also, if you have any points that you want me to bring up with me, also email me.
Thank you. Any questions for the speakers? Seeing none, we'll move into report to the special committee, starting with mental health.
Hi, everybody. So we met with Sergeant Jamie Dover, yesterday during our meeting, and he talked to us about the Comfort K-9 process, but more in detail about funding. So for transparency's sake, they mentioned obviously that they're gonna need funding, but between dog food and supplies, that's the dogs themselves and outfitting the 2 squad cars for the handlers, it'll be in total about $50,000 that they're going to need. They are not sure how to get that because they can't actually go to like the Alumni Association for funding, Res Life and like other departments have to do that because in the state of Maine, police can't ask for money. That was the thing, I just wanted to be transparent, but they're looking at 3 breeders right now, one of which is the Boonfield breeders, which is where Major, the York PD Comfort K-9 came from. And just for your own finals week mental health sanity sake, I'd recommend go looking at their Instagram because the puppies are really cute. They told us a bit more about the litters that they're looking at, mentioned looking at specifically Black English Labradors, or I didn't know this existed, but red dogs. They're also starting outreach to get the word out about the Comfort K-9s. The committee brought up amazing points, so thank you all for that, about concerns with visibility and the presence of a dog with police, since that can leave a bad taste in a lot of students' mouths. They are very aware of that, or at least Sergeant Dover is. He has done a lot of work with this sort of stuff, so he's very conscientious. Altogether, it was a great enlightening conversation, and he wants to continue working with whoever takes up the committee next semester, as well as myself as VPSO next semester, to continue planning on the committee, and also to working with student organizations to get the word out more about the actual thing, because it will probably happen over the summer into next fall. End of report.
Thank you. Undergraduate Student Symposium.
No report.
Food and dining fairs.
Hi, Senate. I want to just start off by thanking you guys. I was very privileged to have one of the more involved committees. This gives me hope that what I say next will go better than it did last time I tried this. I'm going to use my report at this last meeting as a way to advertise one last time to complain. If any of you guys have any complaints about food, and I know for a fact most of you do, send me an email or message and I will create one long complaint doc for Sodexo to work on over the long break. End of report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Excuse me, FGPC Chair Stankovitz.
Also, if anyone has any complaints, anytime during the semester, there is a great, some problem form on our website that also has QR codes around.
Thank you. Any other questions for the speakers? Seeing none, we'll move into representative board reports, starting with CAMS.
Hi, everybody. We had a little event on the like sandwiches yesterday in the Wade Center. When I gathered, it had ran really well. So sorry, my words are not working today. And that seems to be like the sort of the last event for our semester. For me and the rest of the executive, like for executives that are available, we are Just hoping to go through the break, just to work on, the Constitution, new ideas and new events we put on for next semester. Also just getting the word out, and also possibly doing fundraising, because and I want to like just personally thank President Tripp for digging out all the stuff that we had, because apparently it's this entire room size full of merch. We're talking mugs, seatbelt cutters, t-shirts, a lot of stuff. Anything you can think of, we have our logo on, well, not logo, but our organization name slapped on it. So get excited, like, especially for for our off-campus students, get to have, like, there's gonna be some stuff available, hopefully soon. End of report.
Thank you.
Okay, so as we all know, I'm taking up the new position as BPSO next semester. Thank you all for considering me and simply just giving me the time of day, as well as me for talking President Tripp. Been doing a lot of work on that. I look forward to working with all of our representative and community association boards, and I have a lot of ideas. For SAB's sake, usually this would be the meeting our new president would shadow me. Unfortunately, due to life events, other events, a whole bunch of stuff, that's getting pushed to meet our bylaws, and we will be appointing somebody at the beginning of next semester. That just fits our bylaws better, and also it gives people time to get the word out. If you're in honors, genuinely consider it, especially if you have a lot of concerns to bring up. You'll be emailing me with that information if you would look at the honors weekly. But that'll be happening until next semester. For midday meal pack out, we're rolling through our process. That's gonna be my predominant role in the Honors College going into next semester. Our raffle was a success. We made $624 and everybody was notified last week. That's about $200 less than what we made just last spring. So that's wild, but fun fact. That $624 though makes about 1,687 meals as a whole. On Thursday, myself, our fundraising coordinator, Ruth Griffith, Associate Dean Melissa Ladenheim, and Jeremy Colmore, who's one of our new executive members, will be going to the Old Town Rotary Club to get support. We also submitted applications for the HAM grant and the Tomorrow Fund. I believe that is it. End of report.
Thank you. Enters fraternity council.
I'll just start by introducing myself. I'm Jonathan Harper. I'm the newly installed IFC president. We had our big gala last night. A lot of groups got over 5K for philanthropy, some reaching over 10. So super great to see that. Definitely gonna have more emphasis on philanthropy next semester. But off to a good start this year, and I'll have office hours. I'll announce those at the start of next semester.
And a report. Thank you. Panhandle council.
Hi everyone, my name is Lauren Depot. I'm the new Panhandle president. As Jilla said, we had our annual degree gala last night. We just recognized each chapter's achievements and sworn our new Panhandle and IFC executive boards. And I will also be having office hours next semester.
Thank you. I have the senior class council report. Senior class council will be tabling in the union tomorrow, Wednesday, from 10 to 2, selling baked goods and koozies. Please come by to support the class of 2025. Good luck with finals and have a wonderful break. He didn't say how many days were left until graduation, and I'm not looking at it. So next is the student athletic advisory.
So Men's Mandai placed first at the Maine Collegiate Invite. Women's Mandai placed second. Men's ice hockey beat Stonehill not once, but twice. And men's basketball beat UMA, lost to Fordham. Women's basketball lost to St. Joseph's and Purdue, and women's ice hockey lost to BU and UConn. For some SAC specific news, SAC has fundraised $4,063 so far through 50/50. We had our December meeting yesterday where we made blankets for homeless shelters, and we hope to do more volunteering and community engagement next semester as well. For some upcoming games, women's ice hockey has a game this Saturday in Portland against Merrimack. Track and field has a Black Bear invite at 4 this weekend, and men's basketball goes against Duquesne on Wednesday, and Canisius on Saturday. Both are winning games. And a report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Representative Merchant?
Oh, yeah, my apologies, I never said that, my bad.
Okay. Any questions for the speakers? Seeing none, we'll move into community association reports, starting with Shaq.
Yeah, hello y'all. So, we had our last meeting of the semester, literally 30 minutes before this meeting began. Yeah, so, just going over the club reports, I mean, most of them are having their end of semester meetings from this week, having potlucks or, having specific events, that they're doing, which I can touch upon if you guys want to. But what we really specifically talked about at the SHAC meeting is gravitating towards next semester. So what does that look like? Most of us are seniors. A lot of us are seniors that are going to move on to the next period of our lives. And so we need to find individuals to fill our positions. And so one of the initiatives that I'm going to be currently working on over the winter break is a SHAC campaign. So doing a whole video campaign, maybe collaborating with ISA to really demonstrate and show an appreciation for the multicultural and multi-ethnic just essence here on campus and what that represents and what that means to get interest during for our organizations and potential leaders that may fill our roles. We also did a family and friends debrief, and we're going to create a document that basically is a line by line item on what it is to run the Friends and Family Feast in case scenario that SHAC were to not exist for a period of time again. But on taking away that dark note, going into next semester, there are a lot of planned events that we're going to solidify, like the mainly secular event that I talked about this semester, and the MBSDEIA collaboration, and the multicultural mosaic, which is still kind of like this open concept that we're really going to solidify. But SHAC is going like full swing into things next semester, so expect event after event after event, and a report.
Thank you. Wildstein?
Something I figured I should report is that over Thanksgiving break, I woke up to a call from the UCU. There had been a fraudulent charge on our card of like $400, which is not a fun voicemail to wake up to. But I'm reporting this now because I've since gotten that cleared up, made sure there were no fraudulent charges that stuck on the account. We have a new card. Everything's all good. And the rest of my report is that I hope you all have a fantastic break. End of report.
Thank you. International Student Association, does anybody have that report?
Yeah, I have that report. Alright, so, okay, I don't know what. It's being a little. There we go. Alright, so, last coffee hours is a huge success. We had a taco table from Las Palapas, plenty of food, lots of people. Again, I'm so sorry, work is not working today. It was a great time and everyone enjoyed it. Yesterday we had our last meeting of the semester, and this week's coffee hour will be our final one as well. We decided to keep it chill before finals, so we'll be serving hot chocolate and tea along with baked goods and a cake to celebrate at the end of the semester. It will also be a time to say goodbye to graduating exchange students. And report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Seeing none, if it is the pleasure of the Senate, we will move into our 5-minute recess. Do you want to do the picture?
Are we doing the picture during the 5-minute?
If we could.
Yeah, great.
Great. Before I gavel down for the 5-minute recess, let's go take a look. Seeing nothing in unfinished business, we will move into new business, starting with 45S EBT 145, and active allocate funds to Panhellenic Council for Collins Center of the Arts rental for $2,000. Do we have a speaker representative? Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Go ahead and tell us about your event and what your request.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Lily Burgoyne, and I'm an outgoing member of the 2024 Panhellenic Council. I was contacted by the author of Unknown Warrior Battling the Mirror, Sarah Colazzo, about an opportunity for her to speak here at the University of Maine. This book is about her journey and recovery from her eating disorder and body image issues. This is a very prevalent topic for college students, but also for the entire community. So we would like to have this event open for the university as well as the local community. Eating disorders and body image issues have become more prevalent, especially with social media and unattainable standards, which impact people of all ages. The author sent me a copy of her book. This is it. So I'd like to take a moment to read the back of the book for a little context about the speaker. Everyone fights battles unknown to those around them. Even though individuals may be hurting behind closed doors, they're nothing less than warriors. Eating disorders are extremely prevalent, and yet conversations about their struggles are often suppressed and misunderstood. Eating disorders look different on everyone. There is a large spectrum of severity of which the media only portrays a small piece. The idea that students are not sick enough to deserve help is a detrimental mindset that so many are susceptible to fall into. Far too much pressure is placed on our physical appearance when it is in fact the least interesting thing about us. This event, sorry. This event would tentatively be on February 12, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. in the Collins Center for the Arts with a 60-minute presentation by the author, time for questions after, and time for her to hand out 50 free signed copies of her book. She has asked for a budget of $5,000 to cover her travels, hotel, and pay for her time. The cost of renting the CCA is estimated to be $2,000. With that being said, we've applied for the CADLS grant asking for $3,000. We have been given $1,000 from Student Life to cover a portion of the cost, and we have asked the Panhellenic Council and Interfraternal Council for $500 each. The remaining cost to cover is $2,000, which we would like to ask UMSG to fund. This event will show that the school cares about issues that students are struggling with, and we raise awareness about these. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speaker? Senator Sparks?
Is there gonna be an entrance fee?
No.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the speaker? President Tripp?
What is attendance gonna look like?
We're planning on making this mandatory for sororities. So that's about like 200 to 300 people. And then we would strongly encourage fraternities to come. And we also are opening it to the whole community. So we're hoping to get a lot of attendance, probably especially from freshmen, a lot of flyers in the dorms, but this is definitely open to everyone. And we're hoping to see a lot of attendance here.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the speaker? Senator Weber?
Are you planning to do like any other like active throughout the whole like university outside of dorms, like to advertising that this is happening, and like what would those be?
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about putting flyers in the union and in whatever classroom buildings that I can access and put anything on the boards. Probably dining halls, the rec center, anywhere that I'm able to put things up.
Thank you. Senator Frank?
Adding up to Senator Orb's question, have you reached out to like Red Flag to see if they've got flyers in the dorms?
I have not yet, but I will definitely do that. I've looked into student wellness as well, and they're definitely interested in helping us with at least like putting flyers out on their Instagram, helping with like promoting this event and possibly speaking at the event.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, the committee's recommendation is 7-0-0 opt to pass. Senator Weber?
I motion to accept the committee's recommendation.
Second. If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion on the motion? Any debate on? Senator Weber?
I mean, this is such a like big and important topic, and I think it, especially with them getting different outreach from so many parts of the university, I think us being a part of that and being supportive of this is a really big thing that I believe we should do.
Thank you. President Tripp?
It continues to concern me and be frustrating that it takes $2,000 for student orgs to do events on our own campus. While that continues to frustrate me, I don't think that should take away from passing this. This is a really important event. I think too, it goes far. It's gonna be a big event, so I think the money is gonna be well spent. But just so you know, I'm going to be continuing those conversations and expressing my disappointment and such.
Thank you. Are there any other debates? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. Thank you. You're more than welcome to stay or go, totally up to you. Next, we will move into 45S EBC 148 and act to allocate funds to the Maine Animal Club for the amount of $2,475.
I'm Isabel, I'm the president of the Maine Animal Club. We're a club that focuses on livestock and education surrounding livestock and agriculture on campus. We actually work up at the Witter Farm and our meeting was tonight at 5:30. We have 73 active members. Usually on average, we get between 30 and 40 members at each meeting. We meet once a week on Tuesdays. Our mission is to give interested students the chance to learn more about animal science, livestock, and agriculture. We provide unique hands-on experience, help students get involved with their community, and raise public awareness about animal health and care. So during the year, we host events, fundraising events like Trick or Trot, which we held this fall, and the Spring Royal. The one that I'm requesting funding for today is NISA, so that's the Northeast Student Affiliate. It's actually a competition. So our club has been practicing for this agricultural competition. There are 3 parts. There's a quiz bowl, a livestock judging, and then a public speaking portion. So in 2023, we held NISA here at UMaine. So all of the Northeastern colleges with an animal science or similar degree came here to compete. And then last year we went to UMass Amherst and we competed there. One of our members actually got 3rd overall in the competition for the public speaking portion. So we're hoping to go to Penn State and represent UMaine and hopefully bring back some awards. So we're hoping to bring 5 teams this year just because it is a farther distance. Last year we brought 7 teams. We're using our funding from the Trick or Trot event that we had this year, as well as we're making cow calendars. We have a lot of animal related merch that we're selling and stickers. And then we also implemented dues this year, which is new for us, just because we were anticipating this being an expensive competition for us to attend. So we are requesting half of the total that we would need to attend this competition. It was amended so that it doesn't include the car rental, so we'll probably just be bringing members' cars, which might increase the gas price a little bit, but I think the club can handle that. So we are requesting $2,475 for our event.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speaker? Senator Smarts?
How many people are on each team?
Each team is 4 members, so we would be bringing 20 people and we would be deciding based on seniority and then participation in our we also have extra practice events outside of regular meeting.
Thank you. Representative Guzman?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but at the competition, only 10 schools, right, compete there because of, what is it? Is it a certification given to each school that only 10 of in the Northeast region have?
Yep, so it's kind of a little bit of an honor to be invited to NISA, and we'd like to uphold that. They're thinking about expanding soon. So we really would like to show up and represent UMaine at that competition.
Thank you. FEPC Chair Stankovitz?
Is this a better quality hotel than the UMass Amherst hotel?
So it's more expensive this year just because they already have events that weekend, so we had to get an off-campus hotel, which the Penn State dairy team or dairy science team has blocked off for us. But unfortunately, it's just more expensive this year.
Thank you. Senator McLean?
How many of the members going are undergraduates?
They're all undergraduates. We have one advisor that will be going with us, but she's not included in the registration or anything like that.
Thank you. President Trick?
This seems like a pretty big deal, not just for your club, but also kind of your department here on campus. I'm curious on if any support has come from them or if you've asked for any support from them and kind of where you were with that.
Yeah, so we have 2 big competitions in the animal and vet science department. So a lot of our funding for the competitions goes to whichever one needs it more. So this year it happens to be the Dairy Challenge team. So that's more of an academic based thing. It's kind of a subset of Maine Animal Club. So they are traveling to Florida. So a lot of the department's funding is going to them this year, and we're just not going as far.
Right. Thank you. Senator Fang.
You mentioned part of the competition is a judging portion. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so we do livestock judging, so we look at usually beef, dairy, cattle, and then pigs, sheep. And then there's usually a mystery class. When it was at UMaine, we had oysters, so we had people judge oysters. We just had a meeting where one of our members brought rabbits in, so we learned how to judge rabbits. Each species has a different way to judge them. So depending on what their use is, whether it's for fiber, for meat, for dairy, anything like that. So we go through a farm, we go and visit a farm around Penn State and we evaluate your animals. And there's a judging scoring class, and then the judges will compare our guesses and line them up and see who was closest to the judge's pick.
Thank you. Senator Fan, did you have a follow-up?
Just another question. You mentioned that the schools that go to NISA are ones that also have like a similar animal like veterinary studies degree program. So where do like they receive funding? So do they like, I mean, sure, I want to phrase, like those schools, do they have something similar like a club that works with the department, or are they just department funded?
They oftentimes have classes devoted to these competitions. So there's a Dairy Challenge class at some of these schools and a NISA class. So they're more department funded than we are.
Thank you. President Tripp.
I just want to point out that that's another way that our student activity piece supports more things at this school than others. I'm also curious, just for the sake of the Senate, how much money for that other trip that you've secured, just in the sense of like personal outside funding that you secured?
For the other competition?
Yeah.
I don't exactly know the exact number. And we're still working on it. It's quite a bit. We're bringing 6 people to Florida and the plane trip is most of it.
Yeah.
And the hotel, so I don't know exactly how much. I'm not an officer of that team, so I'm not sure.
Perfect, thank you.
Senator Sparks.
How would this further you guys professionally?
So we actually have a career fair there as well. So we go and we can learn about different companies like Gen X. There's Select Buyers, these are all different animal science, reproduction type and nutrition as well. So we can go and talk to representatives there and we can gain different awards. Like there's an outstanding senior award that we can put on our resumes and things like that.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the speaker? Senator or Representative Levesque.
When did you say this event was?
This is February 28th to March 2nd. The actual event is all day March 1st.
Thank you. Any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, the committee's recommendation is 700 ought to pass as amended. Senator Martin.
I move to accept the committee's recommendation.
Second. If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Misha.
My question is directed towards EBC. I've noticed a trend this semester where if a funding request goes over $2,000, you usually get cut to below $2,000. I was just wondering what that was. This is not the case for this request.
Senator Bond.
Unlike some of the other clubs that have come in, like Model UN, they're sending 20 people to an event, which is more than other clubs have. So that's why it's more than that, but per person in the club, it's about the same as we've been giving everybody else.
President Tripp, did you want to elaborate?
Nope. Just seconding.
Any other discussion? Any debate on the motion? Senator Weber.
Kind of gonna be a little bit of an echo of what I said about the last thing. This is a massive opportunity for all of these people. They should be able to get this, and it's super, again, there's only 10 schools that are able to do this. This is very high level, and we should allow them to do this, that's all I have.
Any other debate on the motion? Senator Sparks.
Can I ask a question I forgot to ask?
Absolutely.
How much is this gonna come out of the members' pockets?
Members' pockets, it shouldn't be anything. we cover that with dues at the beginning of the semester.
Thank you. Any other points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. Next, we will move on to 45S EBC 149, and act to allocate funds to Kappa Kappa Psi for 1,840. Welcome.
Hello. So I'm Tori Perry. I'm the president of Kappa Kappa Psi. For those of you who don't know, Kappa Kappa Psi is a co-educational national honorary band fraternity that's among over 200 campuses across the country, but at UMaine, we've been here since 1970. Today we're asking you for funds to our annual band banquet. Our organization prides itself on giving opportunities to band members on campus. This band banquet is specifically dedicated to the marching band on campus, which is the largest, one of the largest bands, but the largest band during the fall semester. At this band banquet, we recognize the members for their sacrifice that they give every year. The marching band, if you guys don't know, plays at every football game, as well as MBDA, which is the band competition for high schools and middle schoolers across the state of Maine. We're also the most visible band on campus. Our band consists of 94 members of varying degree types. And this event will also invite them and other undergrads that they bring as guests to recognize their accomplishments across the marching band season.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speakers? Senator Cowan?
Approximately how many undergraduate students do you expect to attend this event? We're expecting over 100 undergraduates to attend. The band itself is comprised of 94 members, but across us and our sister organization, we also have over 30 members that would be in attendance, as well as people's guests. So at minimum 100, but hoping to see more than that.
Thank you. Any other questions from the speakers? Seeing none, the committee's recommendation is 4-0-1 to pass. Senator Weber?
Motion to accept the committee's recommendation.
Second. If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion? Any debate? I'm gonna ask you to abstain from this conversation. Thank you. President Tripp?
I think this is an awesome event that we have the chance to support. I think too, if you break it down, expected attendance, it's about $18 a head. And that being said, it's another campus-wide event that I think would be a good thing for us to throw some weight behind. So I encourage you to pass it.
Any other points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. Thank you for coming tonight. You're welcome to stay or go. Totally up to you. And next, we will move into 45S POL 150, an act to adopt the newly formatted standing rules of the General Student Senate of UMSG Inc. Riley.
Do you want present or do you want me to present?
I mean, if you want to go back, like I.
Okay, I'll go to the podium. I think we can see the chair.
I did it.
So when.
All right.
This presentation.
I fixed everything. Make a comment on that. Fixing the shirt.
Yeah.
I did. Check that out. Yes, they got this.
No, it's still in contract.
These are But how do we actually know when the dates for like monthly, but I don't know. I'm gonna be talking about the contract.
You can see the front of my head, but
Oh. That's how that.
Okay. Well, we're doing the formatting one first, correct?
Yes.
That's what's first on here, okay. This is a lovely new change to the standing rules that doesn't actually alter their content whatsoever. Not a major change, it just adds little headers to the sections of the standing rules, makes them prettier, formats them so that they're a lot more readable, and easier to navigate. The email that you guys got has a copy of the resolution, but not a copy of the formatting changes. And I think that's what Riley is putting up.
Very similar to the reformatting of the financial policies that our president initiated not too long ago. It pretty much just has the goal of making it much more accessible, much more readable. It mainstreams the formatting. As the policy and procedure chair said, there's now subtitles or subsection titles that makes it a lot more accessible. And that's pretty much. Okay, are there any questions for the speaker? Seeing Senator Bump.
Everything in bold is a change, is that what it is?
It's just in bold because now it's in bold. It's just to make it more readable, and that's just how we've now formatted the titles. I mean, I guess technically yes, but.
Is this uniform to how the other document was done?
Correct.
Oh.
Any other questions for the speaker? Seeing none, what is the committee's recommendation?
100 on pass.
Senator Warren.
I move to approve the committee's recommendation.
Second. If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion on the motion? Any debate on the motion? President Tripp.
I think it looks really good.
Any other debate? Senator Sparks.
Can we get a lovely copy for this for our binders?
So the procedure for this is, I already spoke to Jeff, our lovely executive administrative assistant. If this passes, then the copy, this actual one actually is shared with him. So immediately this will get adopted, and then next semester, when we start doing things like Senate binders and then the copies that are in front of Jeff's desk with all the governing docs, this will be the new thing. Until we get the next resolution.
Yeah, really change it.
Any other points for debate? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. We'll now move into 45 SPOL 152. An act to amend the newly formatted standing rules, for which I will be ceding the chair to our President Pro Tem.
I get to use the podium time.
Yeah, a little bit. Not so much. That's right.
Let's do it towards us. Yeah.
So that like the contents didn't pass.
Oh. Was that the problem to me, or was that?
This one, I'm not gonna send you because everybody has.
Formatting so that this one got good there.
In the file?
Yes.
Oh, so you're not presenting it?
No. Cool, so this is POS 152, I believe, as if you want to access Jeff's email that he sends out to everybody, that's where the copies of the resolutions are. I am gonna be reading through them in detail, so. Assuming that I can see them on my phone, which I can. So, the previous resolution that we just considered was literally just a facelift, as I mentioned. But I will be reading through the actual changes, which I pretty much read through the standing rules and updated terms, fixed more like awkward wording and grammar stuff. The grammar stuff that could have been fixed with just the facelift, like literally just typos, I fixed, but there was other awkward wording that I figured should be changed in here. And so, just for the sake of, these are the documents that govern this very session, and these are the ones that arguably you should uphold the most during these meetings. I'm gonna go through this in its entirety. So, starting in section 2B, under the eligibility of candidates, I'm changing some of the wording where I'm just cutting out any reference to COVID-19 because I just feel like it's maybe not irrelevant, but I feel the principle that I'd like this organization and the Maine students to embrace is moving past COVID and really building a new future for ourselves. The next section, it literally just changes natural sciences, forestry, and agriculture to earth, life, and health sciences, as it should. The next section changes it to where elections for senators of each college shall occur only if there are more candidates than seats delegated to each college or more than 10 candidates for the at-large seats. How it was previously worded was only if there's more than 35. Well, that doesn't make any sense with how our seats are allocated. What if there's 35 CLAS students? That wouldn't make any sense. So that's changed, changed some of the wording for that section. More for election results, the candidates for each college who receive the greatest number of votes. Still going. When it comes to senator requirements, on here, being a chair for a special committee wasn't listed as something that fulfills your requirement, but now it fills 2 points. And then individual positions that fill 1 point is the member of a special committee, the president pro tempore, or the sergeant at arms. A little further down, the order of the chair. This is something that has baffled me my entire time as a senator, is because there's several sections that mention, please see the order of the chair. And then some think about section 4, subsection E, which doesn't exist in any document. So I took it upon myself to write up in order of the chair. What this means is I'm the president of the Senate. The next person who I cede the chair to is the president pro tempore. But what if the president pro tempore wants to cede the chair? It would then go to the chair of the Policy and Procedure Committee, followed by the chair of the Membership Committee, chair of the Academic Affairs Committee, and then Services, and then Political Activism. I did this during my Congress class, and so I did this pretty similar to the hierarchy of federal committees within our legislative branch. The other thought process that I had was organizing it based on the chronology of the resolutions that founded each of these committees, but I didn't want to dig up those resolutions. If anybody wants to do that, we can have that conversation, but we can do that. Yeah, further down, more awkward wording, ex officio and for the president of the Senate in the event of a tie, not when there is a tie. That just felt weird. Even further down, it mentions the presidents of various representative boards and the president of various community associations. That's not always accurate because some of them have their representatives are their own position or just held by somebody else. And then I also got representative to the provost council out of ex officio positions because that doesn't necessarily exist anymore, thanks to our new academic affairs standing committee. A little bit further down, there's the new Senate agenda template. Now, the important thing to keep this in mind is this is pretty much just the wording and format of the agenda. It's not anything that's on here has to be on the agenda or shouldn't be on the agenda. It's just an example of the standing rules. I added the call to order, the land development, Robert Rose tip of the week. I cut ink out of president and vice president and then changed the word of and for per the request of our vice president of student entertainment. And then I also added the advisor to student government. cut the out of there just for the sake of not having the word the all the way down. And then cut out resident hall association. When it comes to standing committees, the Fair Election Practices Commission is in the standing committee within our student government, and then marketing and public relations. That I've been hesitant about, however, I'm only cutting it from the agenda template. This committee, according to later on in the standing rules, still exists in case our director of communications wants to have a standing committee that fulfills requirements. It's just weird having the DOC do a report and then the same chair do a second report, so it's just for cleanliness. And then student mental health committee, yes, this does exist, however, special committees are presidented to kind of come and go with each Senate session, so having them just enshrined in our standing rules is kind of awkward. Representative board reports, SEED isn't an active thing in our student government at the moment. That could change in the future, but that change can be made when that happens. Same thing with feminist collective, at least with the feminist collective that's existed for the past 3 years for me. Didn't make a whole lot of sense as a representative board or community association anyways, but it isn't saying that it can't be on here ever again. It's just not on here recognized for our current session that we're about to move into it. And then main motion, exec session, and then adjournment are also added. Is there anything else or? Yes, there is. I'm scrolling. There was another part that I didn't make any amendment to, but I at least took note of it, where it comes to the election of the various Senate positions, like membership of executive committees, standing committee chairs, ex officio positions. I considered adding something in regarding special committees, however, it dawned on me that those are pretty binding to whatever their resolution is, to where it can either be somebody from the general student body or it can be a representative, so there wasn't really any point in chaining it to the standing rules. A little further down, when it comes to resolutions of impeachment, this was also worded just kind of awkwardly, where with 2/3 majority roll call, it's with a 2/3 majority roll call vote. I also added the Standing Committee of Academic Affairs under the list of standing committees for the student government, with the help of Senator Thompson and our Policy and Procedure Chair Waters. They'll come up with the general explanation for what this committee is. And that should do it. Some of the other things that technically you've already approved, but just when you're looking at the new standing rules, it used to be at the front of the document, it would say how to cite this document. I moved that to the back. And then also toward the end of it, instead of it having that weird awkward block on the title page that shows the history of revision, that's now also at the back of the document. And then there's also a resolution at the back as well.
Questions? Representative emotion.
Yeah, so I just saw like just, I don't know if you're able to scroll, but like it was concerning the Oversight and Ethics Committee. I just wanted to like ask about that because I didn't know we had an ethics committee. I didn't even see that on the paper, so I just wanted to know like more of the story behind that. Yeah, it was like on page, oh gosh. Just skip past it right there. Conduct Oversight and Review Committee.
Old special committee that's never been active. It shouldn't have been on the template in the first place. It's. If I had to make an assumption of what that was. Like I said, it's a special resolution, so there has to be there's a special committee, so there had to have been a resolution that birthed that, I guess you could say. If you want me and Jeff to find that resolution, just in case you're curious what that was, I'd be happy to, but it's nothing essentially.
Director of Technology and Girls.
I guess this may be more my information, but I believe the College of Engineering is actually now Maine College of Engineering and Computing. So I don't know if you want to update that as well at the same time or.
Interesting. We'll keep that in mind for session for the date.
Sorry, I have a few little nitpicky questions. DOT mills, could you scroll to the very top? Is that whereas template gonna be an issue because that wasn't taken out?
Somebody should probably make a motion to just delete that, so.
And then the second one is just, I'm not gonna make Riley scroll again, but you had mentioned that you added Robert's rules to the agenda template. It is not on this document.
Okay,
That you want a senator to amend.
like, it's not on the actual resolution.
Yeah, like the government resolution where you put a template for the agenda, it does not have that. It's a roll call to approval.
I might have accidentally deleted that, but the thing is the Robert's Rules tip of the week is kind of just a discretionary thing that Vice President Tripp started during his tenure, and I've taken it up, so like it doesn't need to be there. But like if somebody wanted to put it in there, like I'm looking at a copy where it still exists, so that's a change that can be made, so.
Any other questions for the speaker? Senator Sparks.
Why, I'm a bit confused, because why is that one different from the one that we get? There are a lot of committees that.
As in this example, and then the ones that you get on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So the one that we get on a daily basis, I'm pretty sure how Jeff does it is he pretty much just updates it as he goes. This, however, is pretty much enshrined by the will of the Senate, and the Senate's just up until now never gone out of their way to change that template. And it kind of seems like past governments have, whenever they add something to the agenda, they just put it into their standing rules, which you don't have to do, because just for the sake of efficiency it would make sense for that to be as much of a clean slate as possible. But yeah, so that's why a lot of stuff is getting cut from the standing rules for that same reason. It's just confusion with our actual agenda, so.
President Tripp.
And they kind of bridge that gap. It has to do with the fact that this is like Vice President Peterson said, this is a base thing, but a lot of the times it changes as we go. So like things have been added and as agendas and things have been added, but this isn't binding from what I understand. Correct.
You know, this is just.
Yeah, so that's kind of the difference, is that is more so a template, so if a brand new student government comes in, they know what should be on the agenda to start with.
Any other questions, speaker? Seeing none, was the recommendation committee?
100 off pass.
Senator DeLong.
I move to approve the committee's recommendation. Second.
Discussion of the committee's recommendation. Debate. Vote of Senator Calhoun.
Would this be the time when I would motion to amend the document? Yeah, I would like to motion to amend the document in the resolve section, rule 3, section 1, subsection F. The first line states the president of the Senate while he or she is in chair. I would like to amend that to read the president of the Senate while they are in the chair, just so it's more inclusive.
Second. Discussion on the motion on the floor. Debate. All those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? Seeing a clear majority, that's adopted. Senator Level.
I would like to make a motion to get rid of the whereas section at the beginning of the resolution.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Discussion on the amendment. Debate on amendment. All those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? Seeing a clear majority, that's adopted. Any other debate on the resolution as a whole? Senator Calhoun.
I motion to amend the document again where it states Wildstein on the agenda. They missed the colon after the word Wildstein. So I would just like to add that in.
Second. All right, seeing a second, is there any discussion on the amendment proposed? Any debate? Representative Valeo.
I endorse this.
Any debate on the amendment? Seeing the debate, all those in favor? All those opposed? Seeing a clear majority, that's adopted. So now we're back to debate on the resolution as a whole. Senator Thompson.
Motion to amend all the mentions of College of Engineering to read Maine College of Engineering and Computing.
Second. All right, hearing a second, any discussion on the proposed amendment? Any debate? All those in favor?
All those opposed, seeing the majority, that amendment is now adopted. So we're back to the resolution as a debate. Vice President of Student Entertainment, Emma.
As I'm looking at the standing rules, there's a lot of other moments of gendered pronouns, so I would encourage a senator to look about changing all the gendered pronouns.
Senator Cowan.
I motion to amend every reference to gendered pronouns within the document to be swapped to they.
President Trump. Wait 1 minute, sorry. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? President Trump.
I think if we're gonna, the best way to do this would be to propose an amendment for a new resolve section that states that. You see what I mean? In terms of, because then it would just blanket statement so you would do resolved, all mentions of gendered statements be changed to they. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I would not pretend that didn't happen. I would kill this amendment and I would make a new one.
Okay, discussion? Debate? All those in favor? All those opposed? Seeing a clear not majority, that does not pass. Senator Cowan.
I motion to amend the document and adding new resolved section stating that any reference to gendered pronouns be changed to gender neutral pronouns.
Second. Doing a second, you need to do discussion on the amendment. Beautiful debate. Seeing the debate, all those in favor? All those opposed? Seeing a clear majority, that is now adopted. Back to debate on the resolution as a whole. Representative, the motion.
I don't know if this is wrong, but under, oh gosh, the result of the agenda, I, under Rule 4, Section 1, subsection C, under point 6 of new senator and officer appointments, shouldn't that also include resignations, or are we like just adding redundancy? And if so, I would like to call upon a senator to make said amendments to add on resignation to that line item, if that is such the case.
I don't have an answer to that. Don't have an answer.
Oh, that's awesome. President Trump.
Yeah. I think it probably should be on there if we're really cleaning this up. Let's go for it.
So here debate. Senator Long.
I move to amend the line 6 of the agenda section to read new senators, officer appointments and resignations.
Second. Seeing a second, period for discussion, period for debate. Senator Sparks.
Does that include the commas, or do we have to explicitly state commas?
Includes the commas.
Right.
Senator Walls.
I'm anti-senators being able to resign.
Wow.
Any other debate? Seeing any debate, no debate, all those in favor of this amendment? All those opposed? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. We're back to debate on the resolution as a whole. Representative Morgan.
No, I hope this is my last point, but under, oh sweet lord, okay, page 3, top of the page. The section that says, well, there shall be several ex officio members of the Senate. Is this? Okay, I guess I'm like putting it as more towards the question. This is including all members that are like exiting their roles. So I'm including this for like senators and or executives. Does this framing include that, or should we just explicitly state such?
An ex officio position in terms of like Robert's rules and the way this refers is anybody who's part and expected to be on the committee but does not have voting power. So essentially what this means is that it allows executives and representatives to sit in the Senate meetings. That's all it refers to.
A period of debate for the resolution as a whole. Any further debate? Seeing no debate, all those in favor of the resolution as a whole? All those opposed? Seeing a clear majority, that resolution passes.
Thank you, Senator Ricker. Next, we will move into 45 SPOL 151 and act to amend Article 8, Section 1 of the UMSG Inc. Student Organization Recognition. What an
I forgot.
Riley, did you pull up?
Yeah, no, I am. I'm just getting it down to the side.
Whenever you're ready, speaker.
Thank you, Vice President Peterson. Yeah, so basically, as it stands, we have a clause in the SORP that allows for an organization that has not completed an update form for 1 year, that has not completed the update form like 1 year to 2 year, like that period. If you haven't completed an update form for more than 2 years, you have to go through the recognition process all over again. If you've completed an update form within that 1 to 2 year span, then you can come to SOC for emergency recognition. Basically, the way that it's written right now is that, excuse me, Senator Fang, order please, I'm speaking. You need an urgent funding request to come to SOC for emergency recognition. I think that's a little silly. So basically, the language is just changed so that you don't need the immediate funding requirement or request. You can, as long as you meet all the other rules and guidelines that an organization with final recognition has to have, then you can come to SOC for emergency. And I also changed it from 1 year, or rather, the submission of 4 consecutive update forms rather than 2 years, because we're going by semesterly update forms instead of yearly update forms. So yeah.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the speaker? Seeing none, I'm sorry, Senator Weber.
This is something that you have in the SORP guidelines, but just wasn't in the standing rules, right? Like that, like the recognition stuff that you kind of were applying, or is this something that you're like making sure? That
Okay, so this is an amendment that previously existed in the SORP, and I'm just changing the language of that amendment.
Representative Merchant.
Yeah, do you, BPSO Rocky, is there, if you don't mind, do you mind explaining just like what is, like the scenarios that lead to such organizations that have to get emergency recognition, just so that everyone knows?
Good question. So the scenario would be if an organization does not submit an update form for a year. Basically, like sometimes there's officer turnover, officers kind of need led to do things, and then you get a new officer corps and they're not responsible really for like sins of the father type thing. But basically, yeah, like we don't want to punish them for something that like their predecessors messed up on. So this is kind of just like a, hey, like you can come here if we determine that you're basically still an organization, like you still meet our requirements. You don't have to go through this whole recognition process again. So it's burdensome on them and on us. But yeah.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the speaker? Senator Baum.
This puts it right through without Senate approval, right?
Right. And for context, it's never required Senate approval. But yeah, the thing that's changing is the funding requirement versus just meeting our rules and guidelines.
Thank you. President Trick.
And just to add on to that, it's not Senate approval, but it is Senator approval, because the only people who would be voting on this would be the elected senators on SOC.
True.
Senator Baum.
How many clubs would come in looking for recognition, like emergency recognition without having funding requests?
One, and they were denied.
Any other questions to the speaker? Seeing none, what's the committee's recommendation?
100 ought to pass.
Senator McCollum.
I move to approve the committee's recommendation.
Second. That's the pleasure of the Senate. That is adopted. Any discussion on the motion? Any debate on the motion? Senator Fang.
I make a motion to amend the line of sponsor to strike Neil to be more in line with how our things are typically formatted.
You mean the?
That's the pleasure of the Senate. That is adopted. Any discussion on the Representative DeMerchant?
Inquiry. Okay, I'm all excited. What do you mean by that, Senator Fang? Cause I'm really
Make
confused.
it say VPSO Rocky instead of VPSO Neil Rocky, because typically it will, you, like, for example, the last few bills we saw said Vice President Peterson, not Vice President Memphis Peterson.
My apologies,
Just a point of order, since we've already entertained this, we'll keep going, but that sponsor is essentially a signature line from whoever wrote the resolution. It's not legal language or anything.
Yeah, I just wanted to put out there, as I commend trying to keep everything in line with each other, but the sponsor line does not affect anything. Just for the perspective of the Senate.
Any discussion on the amendment? Any debate on it? Senator Myers?
I'm sorry, policy and procedure missed this injustice. It won't happen again, so I'm leaving. And we should never let it happen again in this body.
Any other debate? Representative Merchant?
I'm kind of putting this as well to the Senate, but I think it was something else the last time. I think we can definitely also put a resolve to do gender inclusive.
Is that relevant to debating the current amendment?
We're still on amendment. I'm so sorry.
Any other debate? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? Seeing a clear non-majority by one vote, that does not pass. We're now back to considering the resolution as a whole.
I just want to put out there before we get into the comment that Representative DeMerchant did about gender terms in the SORP. Myself and Vice President Peterson will be doing a full SORP revision, much like we've been doing with the other documents, and I'll make sure that that's included there. I would not add it now, just where this is specifically editing a policy and not the aggregate of the doc. And that's just my perspective.
Vice President Crockett?
Also, it's all gender neutral already, so there's no he or she mentioned.
Even better.
Any other points for debate on the resolution? Senator Bum?
For EPSO Rocky or anybody who's on SOC, would you have approved the club that was looking for approval? If they had been allowed to?
Okay, my bad. I kind of misspoke on that. So there was a club that came to us for emergency recognition. We originally denied them, but then they did end up having an urgent funding request. So they came back and we ended up approving them. If a club came to SOC that did not have the urgent funding request for emergency recognition, I think we would have denied them because we denied them the first time. But yeah, but now they wouldn't be denied as long as they meet our requirements, which they did. That makes sense.
Thank you. Any other points for debate on the resolution as a whole? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority, that passes. We would now like to invite the Senate to join me in a discussion regarding the Bangor. Now, I'll get to it. I'll entertain questions. So a very select few people know that this past semester, I've taken the prerogative to pretty much my FDR New Deal that I'm going for is figuring out a new place to hold Senate meetings. Because the Bangor room, as much as I love it, as much damage and horror I've seen it go through, and it's simply, if the Senate continues to grow and prosper in the way that I hope that it does, this room is becoming inadequate. That being said, I have been scouting out different locations and taking lots of different suggestions, and the one that I'm currently on now and currently having a discussion with events and hospitality regarding is potentially having our meetings in the same venue as the Faculty Senate, and that being the Wells Conference Center. I would like to have a discussion because that's not something I was just going to sign off and spring on everybody. Because I work for you technically, well, not technically, legally, I work for you. But I will take questions. Senator Waters?
Motion to limit discussion to 10 minutes.
Second.
Hearing a second, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion on the motion? On the motion to limit to 10 minutes, Senator Sparks?
Oh, never mind.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Any debate on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority that passes? Give me 2 seconds. Great. 10 minutes starts now, and I'm entertaining questions. Senator Sparks?
Just for reference, that room would fit all of us. It is a very big room, it is a very nice room, and it would fit all of us very, very nicely.
And building off of that, there's actually technically 3 rooms that can be like, the dividends can be moved. Some of them come with Zoom equipment, so our initiative of recording them and broadcasting them via Zoom and then posting them on YouTube would still be doable. 3 different rooms with 3 different sizes. One of them is the super big one, the other ones are meant for more smaller conferences. While we're on this part, I will explain like kind of what my thought process is. So this, I had my reservations about it because I was convinced that it would cost money to reserve the space because it's the most conference center. It turns out that on the website and also per Kelly Sparks, students and student organizations do not have to pay reservations for these spaces. That being said, being that we have weekly meetings that are several hours long typically, if another more prestigious or more important or more profitable event were to be scheduled on a Tuesday evening in whatever ballroom we end up trying to reserve, we'd get pushed out of it, we'd have to find somewhere else. Could we just be moved into a different ballroom? Maybe. Do we have to come back to a Bengal room? Also, maybe. That's a pending question that I'm working on. Representative Timberton?
Yeah, just for that, because it's this location wise, how would the Sergeant Arms be accommodated because of the materials?
That's another excellent question. Well, we have a brand new part now that I think is super great at dragging stuff around. Another question that I still have for events and hospitality is storage within Well Central and potentially just having our own little corner or space where we can stash stuff that we don't need on a daily basis and just for Senate meetings. I wouldn't be surprised if Faculty Senate has something similar to that. The very last resort is I live in Hancock Hall, so if need, I'd be more than willing to store student government stuff after, of course, telling Jeff and it being properly inventoried and stuff like that. That way, every Tuesday evening, wherever the Sergeant at Arms is, would just have to meet me in front of Hancock Hall and then move it across the street. Senator Ricker?
How close are we to capacity of all webs, all senators? Like, how many people would that be and how close are we to that? Like,
so at the moment, senators, I think we have, just off the top of my head, more than about 25, right?
I think it's 24.
24. 23 or 24, so that's 10 more senators potentially. Representatives, I believe all of our positions are filled.
We'll be adding seed.
Yeah, well, so we'll be adding seats, so max capacity would be more than 50 people, and the fact that we're not even there yet I've already been fielding complaints and concerns about space here in the Bengal room, especially when we get to something called the annual budget meeting. There's potentially dozens, if not hundreds of people trying to move through here for a few hours. That's just another thing to consider. Senator Burham?
You said that if another group were to come along on a Tuesday night, that we would be kicked out. Have you looked at doing it below in the unused like dining section of Wells? I know it doesn't have like Zoom technology, so we wouldn't be able to do that, but I feel like if that could work in a pinch, if we were to do this and if that were to happen.
I'll definitely keep it in mind. I haven't really looked into that space, but I'll get back to him. President Tripp?
I will also say that below the Wells Conference Center is Wells Pub, which I know a lot of senators and execs and reps go to dinner afterwards, so it would make that a little bit more convenient. Perhaps we could do a little bit more of those Senate bonding things that I know that we haven't really gotten to in the past few years, which is where I think it was a Senate that drinks together stays together was what I would heard freshman year. And while I cannot drink, I can get a tea and sit with you, so that would be fun.
Senator Ricker.
I motion to extend debate by 10 minutes.
We still have 5 minutes left. I'll revisit your motion when the time is up. Representative Malaya.
You give us like a layout of what the room would look like? Would it have like rectangle tables like this, or like, I know they usually have the like circle tables, like what's it gonna look like?
So that depends on what room, and I'm assuming they'll also ask you what layout that you want. I haven't gotten that far in the like scheduling process for reserving the rooms. I know that people are maybe not familiar with how faculty senate sets up their meetings, where it's essentially this, except this one's moved like a little bit back, and then there's 2 tables, and then I believe another table, and then space for the public. It would essentially, that's what I would go for. I'm gonna call them new people for the sake of time, but there's no new people, so. Merchant?
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, 2 points. The one, I'm just gonna be offering my services if the Senate has a very big issue with storing materials. I can just use my car and just drive it to the union and pick the stuff up. I've done that with the ISA and all the other clubs multiple times. So I'm free to do that. And the second one, another location, just like put it out there if needed, is Stoddard. From what I understand, the room is like not really used much aside from the GSG meetings, and it is very big and it can hold. Yeah, it can hold enough members.
I don't want to use Stoddard Hall because that's specifically for graduate students and we represent the undergraduate students. Senator Miko.
So if we do go through this, when should be our first meeting in Wells?
So hopefully the first Tuesday that we get back, which we do have Senate for that way, by the way. Pretty much what I'm hoping to get out of this is if I have the blessings of all of you, then I'm gonna continue pursuing it hopefully throughout the rest of this week and next week. And after this, I'm also gonna create a new chat with like hopefully you senator-elects to keep everybody up to date on what the process is. Yeah, I can't promise that we're gonna get Wells Central. This is pretty much just gauging whether or not it'd be worth it for me to continue pursuing it, but I have like a really good idea. Senator Cowan.
Just like a logistical question, is the parking lot across the street from Wells blue or black?
So it is red, blue, and black. However, before midnight, you can park in it. Regardless, as long as you have a parking pass, I don't think you can if you don't. I think that's only an exception made for sporting events. But yeah, as long as whatever tag you have is moved by midnight, you don't. Senator Sparks.
For more accessibility, the faculty senate has this ball that they use for Zoom meetings that they put in the middle of the room. And it's voice censored, so like it'll flick to whoever is talking. So that, I don't know where that's from, but that would be a lot more accessible instead of having to hang something on the wall.
I'm almost certain that according to the website, they provide the Zoom materials, which do potentially cost more, but that's a discussion that I will have to send it if I come across that. But yes, that is. Senator Waters.
I have a weird niche of knowledge on that. So that's called an owl, and it's about $1,200 to more if you want it to be compatible with like room mics. So it's like really expensive if you buy one for an organization. But Boker Library has 3 that they rent out for student organizations. So we could still have one of those in this room too, if we wanted to.
Would you mind forwarding that kind of source or who to contact that to myself and the other emails? I appreciate that. Thank you. Senator Smartphone.
This really seems like the best option for us as an organization. I believe you did look at Buchanan Hall, one that's super far away, and I think you still have to pay for that.
Unfortunately, they are also an independent organization, and after 5 p.m. you have to pay for it.
Yeah, so also I remember you guys saying that you guys tried Neville during COVID and that was awful. So it just does seem like this is the really like good option to go with.
Yes. Senator Fang, you.
On that Neville point, the question for Vice President Peterson, Senator Sparks, and whoever can answer. would you say this room is like appropriately sized for Senate? And what I mean by that is like, is it a concern that we'll have like one senator just like 6 feet apart from everyone else?
It's definitely very spacious, but with lots of space, you can condense it down as much as we want to. I think it'll give us a lot of freedom for how we want to set up, because we're kind of at the mercy of square footage here. In Wells, that shouldn't be the case, at least in the ballrooms that I've seen. I don't know about ballroom 3, that's the only one I've never been in. Commissioner Stankovitz.
I was doing research today on inauguration. On the hospitality website, if you go to venues and Wells, it shows the amounts of seats for each configuration in each room. If you're curious.
Yeah, and that includes theater seating, meetings, ballroom seating, which was what I assume is the circular, like Academy Award setup, so, Representative Levesque.
So, point of information, I guess, is that what that would be considered?
Senator Ricker.
How much to extend about 15 minutes?
I hear a second, if that's the pleasure of the Senate, that's adopted. Any discussion on the motion?
Was it 10 or 15?
15 minutes. Any debate on it? Senator Buzzell?
Senator Ricker, what's wrong with me?
Any debate on the motion? Senator Baum?
We had before that, discussion's done before that, we're done, but if not, then we have more time to talk.
Any more new points for debate? Senator Ricker?
Well, you can have questions, you know. Like the time on the vote, discussion, debate, questions.
I don't think there's that, but
We're not out of questions, like people have more questions.
Great. Senator Thompson?
15, bad, no, but I'm not gonna kill this, and I don't think we should, because it will take more time to make a new amendment than it will to just talk about this.
Great. All those in favor of the 15 minutes? All those opposed? All those abstaining? Seeing a clear majority of that passes. Now setting the clock for 15 minutes and fielding more questions. Senator Sparks.
For reference, the faculty senate has about the same many people as us, and they each sit at the same tables, 2 people per table. Without them being double-sided.
That's. Any more questions, points for discussion? President Tripp?
I'm secretly in love with the Buchanan Alumni Hall, and I'm not gonna ask us to move there because I know it's a secret, it's okay. It is a gorgeous building, and if you haven't been there for any of the many things that they host there, please go. However, I would suggest that it would be an awesome place to hold the inauguration. Oh, you know, okay. Well, it hasn't been held there yet, so just a thought.
Excellent. Any other points for discussion or questions? Representative Black?
More so for like just the awareness of everybody. I've been in a lot of events in that, all of the ballrooms. And the way that it works is the walls. They can move the walls. So, I don't know why I said it like that, but they move the walls. And so the ballrooms are not a set size technically, unless they've been asked to be a certain size, so like ballroom 1 can be the largest or ballroom 3 can be the largest. But generally ballroom 1 is the biggest, and then 2 and 3 are somewhat smaller in size. And that's just their general layout. Yeah. That's just over.
Representative Merchant?
Yeah, I just have a question just in terms for like the reservation. What's sort of preventing you from just simply just claiming each like time that we meet for the entire semester just to secure that?
I absolutely can. There's something called like Event Uber or something. That's the program that they use where this is as far as I've gotten, where you just fill out your information, what you want your event to be, even the dates where like the event lasts and the times and all that. I haven't submitted that form yet. I've just been communicating with events and hospitality, but they did say that with weekly events, we don't have the priority. However, they won't like intentionally book people from 6 to 8. But if it's like a super, super high-end event that they have to use Wells Conference Center, they'll give us notice of we can't have it that week. So it's free and we sometimes don't get it, so it's pretty free. Senator Cowan?
Do you happen to know how far in advance they would give us notice of a conflict like that?
I'm gonna do my best to make sure it's at least a week, so. Yeah. President Tripp.
I could be way off base with this, but I believe that the way it works is that events are scheduled 2 weeks out. So I think that it would be 2 weeks. And I would be upset with any less.
And there are 2 other ballrooms and we're not at 400 people capacity, so I doubt that we'd have to fully move buildings, but that's something, it'll be my job. As possible. Senator Bowman.
Personally, like the banquet, I know it's small, but it's cozy. And it works for now, and if we really do start pushing it, then I definitely be in favor of moving to the conference center. But I do feel like we should at least go to the conference center for the budget meeting. I feel like that's kind of like a must do.
I will keep that in mind. Senator Waters.
So my one concern is that right now we don't have people that give public comment, but in the chance that we ever did have students utilize our public comment, us moving or the possibility of us being irregular with where we meet could be problematic for that.
That's true. I will also keep that. Senator Sparks.
Senator Rowe made a good point. If we did move there, it is bigger and you would have to have a very strong voice when talking, so you would be able to hear each other. That would be the one thing.
Don't vote on that one. Senator Ricker.
Can I debate this?
More or less, we're discussing.
Okay, I am concerned because almost every single meeting, we have students coming in for a budget request essentially, or for recognition requests. And in the union, there's a level of convenience in that the club is likely already meeting in the union. So forcing them to go over the rows is what I think is, it might confuse them, it might like just make them like, I just feel like it's a lot more consistent here to have them.
No, that's fair. President Tripp.
I think a bigger issue that we still face is that people don't know where student government meets or what we do. So I think that that's a much smaller issue in that regard. I also think that we would be properly communicating with people if we move. Is kind of my only pushback at that. I think that too, it is still pretty central. Like, and I think when we were thinking, oh, wow. When we were thinking about Buchanan, we kind of had that thought is it would be way out of the way. And I can't imagine any of our freshman senators coming down from Hilltop during one of our winter storms to trudge all the way over to that corner. But whereas Wells Conference Center is kind of just right there, I don't see that as big of a deal. And I also too think that if we did move, like I said, it would be made apparent to all people, especially in the emails that we send out, because all of those individuals get an email that's like, come to Senate, blah, blah, blah. It would say Wells Conference Center instead of the Bangor room. So they would be up to date.
Director Mills.
I guess it's more so just something to consider if you get the chance to go back and look at it, unless Representative Lebeck might know, but since she mentioned that the walls move, I know there's different quality of walls, and so like how sound travels when it comes to executive sessions. If you just want to make sure.
Any other points for discussion, debate, questions, comments, concerns, ideas, Senator DeWine?
One thing that Vice President Peterson brought up to me today was that we would be, if we did move to Wells Conference Center, we would be restricted to specifically the Wells catering, which I mean, the past 2 weeks have been Wells and it's been like, I think we received it pretty well and like they're really easy to work with. We're building connections every week. It is, yeah, they're great people there. I think they give us extra food because I don't think there was cheese on the thing I ordered, so and like they've been like every time we order decently late for how long it takes them to make it, so if that's a concern that you might have about food, that's totally understandable, but.
I do have a follow-up question on that point too. Based on your past business with Sodexo, of just with how we've been catering our meetings the past couple weeks, if we were to be restrained to that for a full semester, do you think that would be sustainable with your use budget and resources?
With the budget, I think we could definitely do it. I think like we've been splurging these past couple, like last week and this week, just because we're new to what the portion sizes look like, because I had no idea what like how many burritos we're gonna serve us here. And like we have extra right now. They do have minimums that you have to like stick with. So like if it's something that's on the $3 menu, you have to buy like 12 minimum. So like
We can definitely work it out. Logistically, it's not that bad and they're, like I said, they're super open to everything, so, yeah.
Thank you. Senator Rickard.
Yeah, I know you and Representative Wojcik both mentioned that you're going to host the stuff so you can actually get it up from Hancock to Wells. And that is very generous of you, but I also don't think that's a very sustainable thing long term, thinking next year student government years after that. So I do think that although Wells would be nice for special meetings such as the annual budget meeting, I do have concerns of making that every single meeting, like as a regular occurrence.
Senator McLean, did you have?
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna echo a point earlier, that President Tripp brought up, that the issue of confusing students with the new location would, I would agree is quite a small issue, especially as someone, that came here, I had to Google, that we even had student government. So I feel that this issue is quite small.
Senator Chalmers.
To resolve the issues regarding executive session or being confined to contract with Wells, there's also in Furland on the second floor, I believe it's 201. It's a very large room like this, it's already Zoom compatible, and the chairs are fancy and they're rolling. It's a brand new everything. And also you can move the tables to set up like this. And there's a major screen like the ones you guys have, but there's also minor screens. So people sometimes in the back have a difficult time seeing. There's screens lining the walls that project the same thing you could have. I don't know, it's a really nice room that would offer solutions to some problems that we voiced here.
Excellent. Do you happen to have the contact information for whoever manages that building, the space?
No, I can just ask you, Bonnie.
Okay, and if you, I'll get back to you on that, but that one's now on my list for consideration. Representative Schimmerson.
Yeah, just the comments for Senator Sheldon. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the the building does have like the key card doors. And I guess like just to build off of that, what time do they lock? Because I remember going up to that building because I was gonna meet a friend, but I couldn't open it, but I don't remember the time. And it's a very big difference between trying to get in at 4 PM and trying to get in at 6 PM.
Did you have an answer for that?
This is like, yeah, personal, I was there last night till like 9, so, and I was able to get in and out, so that's my.
I believe the outside doors lock at 7, but if you're inside the building, you can get out. And I've also propped open the doors and I haven't gotten in trouble yet.
Yeah, there's 4 minutes and 20 seconds left for discussion. Any other points for discussion? President Tripp.
Yeah, I'm just curious, I have two questions. One, would it be more expensive or cheaper weekly if we contract with Wells or do it weekly with Wells?
Like I said, right now, we're like, this is the trial and error thing with that Pam and I are working with, just to see like what we can deal with. I can't say right now if it'll be more, like it would definitely be more than OHOP every week, but most things are more than OHOP every week, and like I said, with like the amount of portions that they give us for the price we pay. Also, if we order ahead of time, we don't have to pay a 10% fee like we have been, because we've just been ordering late, so that's like $12 saved every single time, so I think we could, I could definitely work it in. I'm not speaking for anyone else, but yeah, we can definitely.
Then my second question is for Senator Sparks about the Faculty Senate. They hold their executive sessions there, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they don't do it. What they do is they have executive sessions on a different day than they have their actual meetings. And I am not allowed to go to executive session, so I don't know if they like change anything on those days. But I can ask. There's a meeting next week, so.
Senator Waters.
As a frequenter of the Board of Trustees who also meets there when they're in town, when they do executive session, they just move to the room next to the room they usually meet in, and you usually can't hear anything that's going on. I mean, I feel like you'd have to be very like intentional to try and like put your ear up to the wall to listen to. But it's not like you can hear what they're talking about when they move to the other room.
Any other points for discussion, debate, comments or concerns, Representative Pemberton?
I think this is more or less just for like a debate, but I think just for the sake of like just making sure that we're not like being volatile for where we go, I think we should just, if we are gonna change location, we should lock in and have for the entire semester. Because I think like a last minute change, cause like you said yourself, Vice President, Mr. Vice President, there's no guarantee with the. I'm sorry, I was too formal, but anyways, there's no guarantee for how soon they'll notify us, so I think it's better safe than sorry just to like choose location and then just sequester for the entire semester. That's my thought, so.
90 seconds left. Any other points for discussion or debate? Senator Chang?
Vice President Peterson, do you live close to Wells?
Yes, I live across the street from them.
Okay, thank you.
That's not the reason I chose Wells. Senator Thompson?
Vice President Peterson, did you already say what dorm you're in this conversation?
I'm not disclosing. President Tripp.
To push back on that concept, our offices still remain in this building, and unfortunately will not move to Wells.
Senator Morton.
Or moving to Wells.
Any other points for discussion or debate? Senator Ricker.
How many senators, representatives, or executives are graduating after this next semester?
If you're graduating this spring, would you mind raising your hand? Only if you want to. Did that, yeah, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Yeah, President Tripp.
Raise your hand if you're brand new to the Senate this semester.
Any other points for discussion or debate? Representative Pemberton.
For those who who park in a black lot at the CCA, I offer to drive rides to people to get over there to save the trip. That is it.
Alright, I would now, before I continue trying to secure this reservation and pursue any more info or knowledge. I would like to call for a tentative vote for senators, representatives, and executives. Just so I can gauge the interest of people who participate in these meetings on if this is something they need to be moving forward. So, you're in favor of me pursuing the concept of moving to Wells Conference Center, not promising that we're going to, but I keep doing this. And hopefully I can get it done by finals week. And at least have an answer, which when I do have an answer, everybody will be fully aware. If we do end up moving, it will be crystal clear by, we come back January 20th, 21st. Yeah.
21st.
So the first day of the spring semester, when we have a Senate meeting, our location will be crystal clear. If you're in favor of pursuing this, please raise your hand. If you are not in favor, please now raise your hand. If you are abstaining from this, please raise your hand. Great. So I will continue, but please keep an eye out on your Google Space because you will get updates with pretty much every step that I do. Thank you so much for your. That will conclude new business. Seeing nothing for me, motions, executive session. We will now move into special orders and announcements for which,
Information,
yes,
are we not having a presentation today?
Nate. I'm now looking for a motion to suspend the rules to allow a 10-minute address. Senator Burr.
I'm looking to suspend the rules and then a 10-minute address.
Second. If that is the pleasure of the Senate, that is adopted. Any discussion? Senator Sparks.
Are we allowed to know what the address is about?
Yes, our great senator who has joined us for this semester would like to give a presentation, I believe, on your leadership experience and.
No, my kind of presentation.
Oh, yeah, even better. Any other questions, right? Great.
Dies. All I'm gonna say is fun.
All those in favor of the motion? All those opposed? All those abstaining, seeing a clear majority, that passes. This.
That, you littered. Don't tell them it's up there. Huh?